power goes out, Phil is finding Hank's clothes on the ground. Mike is getting mad because it was just getting to the good part in session 9.
What did Simon do to Peter?
And Jeff is losing the race to these lights.
Just gonna say, as an electrician, this is not how lights work. They wanted. It's not like the power is now slowly flowing back to the generator because it can't power them up. They would all just go off immediately, and then poor Jeff would be there in his worst nightmare. But hey, it works for the movie. It makes for a cool scene. I'll let it slide.
But the one that should really be freaking out is Phil, who just walked up on Hank, just as Gordy calls in.
Am I live?
I think I found...
Am I live? I think I'm live. Hello! Whoa.
Luckily found some light.
So, ako'y nag-Elden Ring. Hello. I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello. So, mag-new game ako. Although ngayon may experience na ako. Ang favorite ko ngayon is itong Samurai Renee. Gagamitin ko ang aking asawa. Type B. Young. What the fuck? Ito, asawa ko pag nagpareban. White. Let's go! Sorry, kung may naririnig kayong YouTube, just ignore. I'll just keep play.
He signed up to work on a new job for a week and literally had to face his worst nightmare.
So he just calls in to let everybody know that he is freaking out and he's going to be at the van for a little while, hanging out, relaxing, and eating some Oreos.
Maybe that'll make it better.
And this is when we get somebody making their way to Jeff out at the van, as Jeff walks over, clearly recognizing who they are, and we get a quick cut again just like we did with Hank. And then it's Friday, as Phil's calling in on the walkie and Gordon answers from the van, and Phil says, Gordon heads inside. It's just as he's making his way inside that we see a car pulling in over beside the van, and Craig gets out, ready to go to work.
Craig, wait, come back. No, you completely missed the blood stain on the door. That's normally a good sign to leave immediately.
Since this is such a big job, Craig's just trying to find anybody in there so that way he can get started, and completely misses some more stains. But we don't. That tells us there's a big oh no fixing to happen. And there's already a bunch of oh no's that already happened. And one of the oh no's is Gordon walking in and finding Hank laying on the floor, as Phil is just there talking to Gordon. And Gordy, of course, is asking Phil, and I love Phil's response.
I need you to wake up and take really good shot.
So Gordy listens, and he does take a much closer look at Hank by pulling his glasses off of it. Because as you remember, that's the recommended treatment for lobotomy. And during this, Phil is telling Gordon not to tell anybody about this, so that way they don't also find the others. And then we get some more shots of what happened Tuesday night to Hank.
You are asleep.
And Phil here keeps saying, you're asleep. Open your eyes. You gotta wake up.
Would you wake up?
I am awake!
Is what Gordon yells to Phil, who is no longer there. But this yell is what gets Craig to finally walk over to find Gordon. And Craig can clearly see what happened to Hank, as Gordon begins to stand up and grabs him.
Gordon!
As he begins to pull the ice pick out of
Do it, Gordon.
This is whenever we hear session 9 again, as the doctor asks Simon, "Why did you do it, Simon?"
Because Mary let me down. They always do.
And it's during this that we get one of the best shots in the film, as we see a close-up again of
I am a
Gordon's face
samurai.
and Craig's hand running down the side. Because if you hadn't seen the film, you would just think this is some guy doing this. And then you watch it and you realize that's not his hand, because he is currently performing a lobotomy on the guy who owns that hand. And it's after this that Gordon begins to walk through the hospital and we see the rest of the film.
Not usually beatable, boss.
And again, we hear Phil telling Gordy, "Wake up."
I was just trying to kill it. What the hell?
And this is when we finally get the truth of what actually happened Friday night.
As we hear Gordy inside, the pot of water is spilled. He snaps, not just slapping Wendy, but putting an end to it.
Do it, Gordon.
Then the dog. And then Emma. We
Hiya!
hear Simon in this moment.
Tutorial mode.
You know, to do it.
Do it, Gordon. Do it now.
As Gordon is now standing in Mary Holmes's room, remembering everything that happened and looking at the pictures that he added to the wall, the bloody photos of his family, as he begins to break even more, just like his phone,
I didn't say. I'm sorry. I'm
trying his hardest to apologize to Wendy.
Can you forgive me?
Because all he wants to do is go home.
I want to hold you. I want to hold my baby.
And we get the doctor asking one last question of Simon. Where do you live?
I live in the weak and the wounded.
No happy endings here. But I will say this ending is way better than the alternate ending that they had in mind.
Because it's almost the same, but I just want you to pick up right there in the room where Gordon is looking at the pictures on his wall as he's remembering every terrible thing that he's done throughout the entire movie. But as he's talking on the broken phone this time, he says, "I want to come home." And Wendy responds. And we hear this conversation going on inside of Gordon's broken mind as somebody walks up behind him.
What? What just happened? Who is that? Who is this?
And we see some woman with the flashlight. As Gordon bleeds out on the ground and she makes her way out of the room, we hear the doctor asking Simon again, "And where do you live, Simon?" And Simon says,
She doesn't even say anything. She takes out Gordy and then just leaves? What?
like I said, glad they didn't go with that. But if they did, there would have been all these other alternate scenes in the film as well, showing her, because she was one of the returning patients that was a squatter there on the property. Just seems to take away from what I consider a pretty impactful ending. So I'm glad that they cut all of that out, because while this movie might not be in my top 10 or one of my favorite horror films or psychological horror films that I've ever seen, I can't help but think about this.
Because I was able to relate to every
Mighty shot.
Jeff is the new guy, Mike and Hank as the hands that have been on for a couple of years that really don't want to be there. Also Phil with being the foreman, and then of course Gordy with being the boss man, because I've now been the boss man for nearly 6 years, because the sheer stress of being the owner of a small company is so much more than what the majority of the people want to.
Hiya!
It's the life. You get to make your own schedule and work. when
Stabby
you
stab.
want, but in
Guard break.
reality, most of the time you end up telling people,
I need a job.
Ganda na tong laro na to, sobra.
The entire
Like-
thing that had to do with Simon and it sort of possessing Gordon throughout the film,
They always do.
I completely missed that the first time. Because I understand what it is like to be under so much stress.
Because I chalk everything up to the looks that Gordy gives throughout the film, just being too much stress on the boss man of his company, which I still think works well for the film because Simon doesn't have to be some sort of demonic force within the hospital, but it's just the pure embodiment of stress itself.
And this film somehow perfectly encapsulated the mental strain of being in Gordon's position.
Imagine that stress.
And I know you know what I'm talking about because there's a video that I made years ago that maybe 15 people watched that is all about the reason that I make these videos.
And in the video, I talked about how I made it for you, so that way you would be able to escape
Jump out,
just for a little bit and have some joy and forget about the stresses of life, so you can just relax for a moment.
Just have an excellent time.
Because it's the same reason that I often watch a bunch of videos.
But I know now that this is my stress relief.
I got a way of dealing with the stress.
But it's taken me years to figure out that I'm not talking to you in this, but I'm talking to myself.
Wow, smart.
I love doing this. I love making these videos. I love getting to talk to y'all, to get you to be able to be
Statue of
distracted for a little
Marika.
bit. But sometimes that stress can just build up.
It'll mess you up, man. It's anxiety, it's stress.
But I don't want you to do what Gordy has done, and I know what I've done in the past. If you are feeling weighed down, you need to talk to someone. It's
Holy
not
shit.
good
To just hold it in. It's not good
Okay.
to let it win.
Oh no, Godric.
It wins is when the worst stuff will happen.
Strongest boss
Because
ever.
you gave in.
Can you forgive me?
This feeling that you're having right now of everything getting a little too real for just something that you're watching, that feeling is what happened to me whenever I watched Session 9.
So don't give in. You can't give in, okay? Don't let something bad happen because you needed to talk to somebody.
I just want to say, sorry. I'm
Because I know for me, sometimes it's
Broken cell phone?
hard just to open up and tell somebody that I need help. But it always does so much more than just help me in that moment. Because I've been so blessed by all of the people that surround me in my life. It's just another sign to me of the verse that I have on the back end of the channel, which says that Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust him. Your roots will grow down into God's love. Keep you strong.
And that got a little too real for a moment, so funny guy in the video, distractions, yay!
I don't know what you're going through. I don't know why you clicked on this video, but I really do hope that you have an extra blessing. And I hope that you can understand why I needed to make this video, even though this movie disappointed me at first.
Because sometimes we just need to confront the things that we're trying to escape from. Yes, it's an escape. Haha, funny, he said it wrong. It's more exciting that way, okay?
So with all of that said, I hope that you had a good time. I hope that it wasn't too serious for the channel, and even if it was, I hope that you understand.
But seriously, thank you for watching this channel and all the other videos. I mean,
What the
just
heck?
50,000
The frame rate
subscribers
dropped.
by recording this, and that's
Maybe I should remove
This is
the...
not the 50,000 subscriber video. I'm going to do one, but I have to go record somewhere else to do this. It's a whole thing. You'll see. And of course, thanks to all the channel members, because you guys directly support me, which is insane, but really cool. So thank you. And with all of that being said, Once again, I hope you
Dapat
have
wala
an
hindi ko
extra
ginalaw yung
blessed day, and I'll
transform.
see you in the next one.
Well, I hope this isn't going to be too hot because we still haven't fixed PC.
Oh, come on. It said this fit. See, I'm not the only one struggling to put this on because it says that it's from 5.7 to 6.2, but on the 6.2 side, it's a little tight. Oh, damn it.
I think that should get less CPU power. Okay, much better.
I wish there was something I could say. Just to, I don't know, does he have access to any electronics where you could send him some information debunking this and he might...
We've done all of that. We've done all of that. We've sent him all the FEMA bulletins. We've sent him all the stuff from the fact checkers.
Limgrave.
He did all. He just believes Trump. Literally, Dan. It's a cult. He's a cult member. I'm sorry to say it. He's a cult member. And he's my father-in-law, and it sucks.
No, I did hear the call. It went viral. It was even retweeted by Vice President Harris's official, campaign Twitter. So not to say that it's guaranteed that call is legit, but it seems to me that if the Vice President's own official Twitter page is going to regurgitate it, that it has some factual basis. Well, let's just assume that that specific call is fake. Let's just grant the cynical premise that it's not true. Is it really outside the realm of possibility that there are people in these situations that, Stephen, when we linked up for the canvassing event, we discussed your mother, and I've said that, my late mother was a big fan of Donald Trump. She died before the 2020 election. But we have family members and friends who I could easily see in the situation described in that phone call, where they're just sitting in the ruins of their home, in the ground zero of a natural disaster, because they fear that the Biden-Harris administration will either not help them or will thwart them. I could easily see that happening.
You probably can't make it out from here, but my mom sends me all of these messages. It absolutely does not surprise me.
I will
she sent me
limit
one for
the
Wouldn't it be
RAM.
crazy if one of the richest lithium deposits in the world was right outside of Asheville, North Carolina? Wouldn't it be crazy if the largest lithium mining company in the world, 3 days before the flood began, submitted the permits for their mining rights? She sends me all of this stuff. This doesn't surprise me at all. If it is fake,
I'm
could
just gonna
absolutely be
remove
real. But obviously, I'm always super paranoid that somebody's trying to.
The other thing I think worth noting here. Well, no, I was just going to say, and there could be some lag here, which might be if we're stumbling over each other, but what I was going to say was, the other thing that's so important about this is, it would be bad enough, Stephen, if these were just legions of MAGA voters peddling this misinformation, or this misinformation. It would be bad and dangerous enough. But what makes this even more insidious is you have elected members of Congress, you have Republican politicians, who quite frankly should be held to a higher standard than the voters. We used to believe in the Uncle Ben Spider-Man notion that with great power comes great responsibility, and so you should hold your elected officials to a higher standard. This is being signal boosted by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the reason, and not just Marjorie Taylor Greene, but also, again, other MAGA Republicans, it's so important to note, because as the election
I'm gonna
rapidly
change some
approaches,
stuff.
what
I
we
don't
hear all
like
the
it.
time
The
is,
frame rate.
this both sides, right? Both sides engage in dis and misinformation. This is a further nail in the coffin, that there is no counterpart. There is no Democrat like Marjorie Taylor Greene. There is no Democratic counterpart to MTG. There's no
Jim
Democratic
Jordan.
counterpart to Donald Trump. Yes, precisely. And the list goes on and on.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but
bullshit that people peddle.
Can I kill this
the
bro?
House Republicans are insane.
I actually killed
I
him.
have to tell people that, did you see this thing that came out of the House? If it comes from the House Republicans, you cannot trust it. It is meaningless. You can read the material and try to fact check it, but you can never take anything at face value from the House Republicans. The stuff they publish in there is insane. It's actually insane. They remember, I'm sorry, we can go on, but Jesus, holy Christ.
Well, and what's also funny too is I'll give you we should not hang our hats on this. This is nothing. It's sad that this is even noteworthy, but it is in the political context. So there is a Florida freshman congresswoman she represents one of Florida's districts in the United States House of Representatives. Her name is Anna Paulina Luna, and she's one of the more infamous incoming freshman Republicans. She actually hosted a town hall with Donald Trump into Hurricane Helene, as Hurricane Helene was going on. And she signal boosted his lies. She said things like, Mr. President, this is just my opinion, but I additional FEMA funding, number one. She voted against it, struck it down. Number
Holy
two,
fuck!
days after she signal boosted all these lies, she gets a phone call from President Biden. And apparently they have a really good phone call such that Ana Paulina Luna goes on Twitter and says, hey, I just got off the phone with President Biden. He was really helpful. He said that the federal government's gonna foot the bill for debris removal and all these things. And actually, Speaker Mike Johnson, you need to reconvene Congress in order to pass additional FEMA funding. So again, it's staggering that a Republican Congresswoman is actually for a brief moment doing her goddamn job, you know, and actually acknowledging that the Biden-Harris administration is doing its job. And she's publicly calling the Republican speaker to reconvene so they can have additional funding that she voted against just weeks ago. And so to me, it's just the whole thing is so staggering. And then the last thing I'll say is in response to that, Mike Johnson has reaffirmed that he will not reconvene Congress, and they're just going to have to deal with it when they go back into session. And this abdication of duty is something that I wish more Americans cared about. The election should not be this close.
It absolutely should not be this close. Also, when you know, not to hang your hat on it, like you said, I won't hang my hat on it, okay? The question that I have then is, when something
Baka
like
dahil
that
sa Plants
happens,
vs.
somebody wants to
Zombies?
give credit to somebody
Fuck.
for figuring something out, right? Like, imagine you have a friend who's been driving their car for 2 years, and then you take a ride with them to work, and you pull out of the garage, and the car is like, and you're like, hey, and they're driving manual, you're like, you can switch out of first gear, you know that, right? And they've had the car for 2 years, and they go, oh, that makes it so much simpler. Like, am I willing to give the person credit for something that they probably should have known in the beginning? Like, when you talk about this call between Biden and the Republican lawmaker, did she just not know? Did she just have no fucking idea how FEMA or the president or any with the response? Does she not know how it even works? And then when Biden called her, she's like, oh, whoa, that's actually really cool. Mike, we need to come back in and talk about this. Crazy. We should actually vote for more. Like, what? Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Some speculate that all it took, these people, I think there's a narcissism, not just a Trump, obviously, there's malignant narcissism, but I think there's a narcissism which underpins prominent MAGA Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. I'm sure you
Hindi
agree.
nag-start? What the fuck?
I think it was just the fact that she got a phone call from the most powerful man in the world, made her feel like really warm and fuzzy. And he's basically just telling her exactly what to take. Listen, we are doing everything we can. We are going to put the bill on debris removal. What can we do to help your district? Shit that's basically been said already, but the fact that she's hearing it from Biden's mouth. And here's where I wanted to bring this up to you. So after all this, Steven, she goes on your buddy Benny Johnson's podcast.
Oh, God.
Okay, your Piers Morgan frenemy. And even Benny Johnson is praising Joe Biden. This is what I don't understand. The same people who are signal boosting the lies about Biden, not just about hurricane relief and everything else, are now isn't it great that leaders can come to that? Biden can work with Ron DeSantis, and that he can actually support a flamethrower like you. That's what he calls a flamethrower on a.
I'm gonna start.
And so here's what I don't understand: how long will this last? How long will this public praise of Biden last? Because I don't know if I would give it till Monday.
Yeah, who knows? Sorry also, guys, if it's a little bit laggy, it's because Josiah here is coming from deep within the chambers of the Capitol building, deep underground, so the Discord connection is not the best, but yeah, I'm also really big on the... When I would fight with people online, I would notice that some people would do this, and so I use the same standard now for lawmakers, for people in media. You do not get to get credit 2 times every time. You can't do that. You can't get to virtue signal
What
about
the
how
fuck?
horrible and abhorrent a particular issue is, and then collect all of the righteous fury and positive feedback from your audience for speaking truth to power, and then immediately correct yourself afterwards when you realize, oh, what I just said was total fucking bullshit, and then be like, guys, yeah, this is actually not true. Here's this, and then have your audience go, oh my God, so brave of you for changing your mind and following the facts, and this is why we follow you. Sure, you can do this once or twice, but if this is a pattern of behavior, it's literally, this is the hack that we all dreamed up in Catholic school in 5th grade when we're like, wow, there's the sacrament of confession. What if we just go and murder 500 people and then ask God for forgiveness? We should be good and we can just do that over and over again, right? And it's well, no, proper contrition doesn't work that way. Much the same way that you shouldn't get credit for being correct or for coming around on something if you were intentionally lying in the beginning with no due diligence whatsoever. Especially, this is their job. They're lawmakers. This is actually their job, right? You can argue maybe media misinformation or maybe how they tweet or what they do on their social media accounts or their public statements maybe are one thing, but literally things like voting on FEMA and allocating funds to their district and representing their constituents in front of the body of Congress or to the president. This is actually what they are elected to do. So, yeah, but sorry, yeah, we obviously we can go back and forth on this particular story. I hate that all of these are this story alone is like a 4-year defining moment, but it'll just be another moment lost in time, like all the other insane moments have been. Yeah, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, so the reason we spent so much time on this is because, unfortunately, this is eaten up. I mean, obviously, again, there's the natural disaster component. Lives were lost, infrastructure was wiped out. I mean, just a lot of damage to it. But politically, this ate up most of the past 2 weeks. Another story that I want to talk about, though, is actually really, really fresh. So Mark Milley, who was Donald Trump's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that is the senior military advisor to the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense.
I don't need the shadows.
He retired after continuing to serve under President Biden. He retired back in 2023. Well, we just received information from an upcoming book by Bob Woodward, who's a legendary journalist who broke the Watergate scandal. You know, if there was one person single-handedly responsible for killing President Nixon's political career, it was Bob Woodward. Well, in this upcoming book, General Milley is interviewed, and he tells Woodward that Donald Trump is the most dangerous man in the country. Was in severe cognitive decline and a fascist, okay? Now, again, you want to talk about a 40-year defining moment, which should be a game changer politically, but no one on the right gives a single solitary about. What do you think? I mean, again, because I know you at your at least your mom, I think both your parents, but I know your mom was a veteran. So how is it? What does it mean that the highest ranking conservative member of the United States military, who knew this man, worked for him, loyally, says he's the most dangerous man in the world, he's a fascist, he's unfit for office, he's in mental decline? What do you think about all this, man?
Did you see Milley calling Trump a fascist? Let's see if my mom responds in the next 5 minutes. Curious what she'll say. I know what she'll say. She'll say, oh, Milley's a rhino. That's what she'll say. That's what they say for all of them. You bring up the Woodward stuff and Nixon. Woodward also had the big book on Trump, but or the big expose. He wrote a book on it, I believe, right? I don't remember what it's called, but
he did. He wrote Peril. The most recent one is Peril, which is a really good book. It's part of the trilogy, transitioning from the last days of the Trump administration and the first days of the Biden administration. And this one, I believe, is called
Exploration
War.
Mode.
It's not released yet, but I think it'll be dropping on Monday.
I'll be honest, when you bring up Woodward and recent stuff, the thing that I am seeing the most, and God, I wish there was a video camera footage of this, assuming it really happened as he says it did, but it was some of the quotes that he had about, wait, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah, you cut out on me pretty bad.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the Woodward quote that stands out to me the most were some of the ones that he had about Biden coming out. I'm imagining the WCK attacks or whatever, when they obviously messed up, there's something bad, and that quote of Biden, I'm just imagining him putting down the phone. I'm like, BB, what the There were some, that what I just said was an exact quote, supposedly. BB, what the there were some very funny quotes from Biden about Netanyahu there, yeah, assuming they're true or whatever, but yeah, I agree, he's untouchable. I don't know if any single person could come out. Because I'm thinking, like, who would be the most damning person against Trump? Nobody cares that Melania has kind of, like, disappeared. Nobody cares that his vice president, who had, like, the most conservative voting record of almost, like, anybody, in terms of disposition, I don't know who. You know, you had people, but your strongest Trump warriors, your McCarthys, are now considered rhinos. It doesn't matter. Trump is very much like untouchable. Maybe his family member came out against him, but probably not.
I don't even know that. I think that Trump, made a prophecy when he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote. I do believe that we're seeing a culmination of that. I mean, it's a total abdication of the Republican Party's claims to be pro-military, pro-national defense, pro-patriotism, that you have a lifelong veteran, a man with a storied career, a combat veteran, who served under both administrations, or both parties, and then he was appointed to his post. I should say, Donald Trump picked him, and Donald Trump only picks the very best people, but he doesn't care about that either. He points the very best people, and they'll stick with that, except when he points the very best people who disagree with him. Well, that was an exception, but it's an exception which doesn't reflect on Trump, either morally or in terms of his ability to delegate and hire people. They just like, it's water. They always find a way. The
Haha!
To avoid giving Trump any accountability. But
Oh shit!
I think this would kill the career of any other politician, at least a Democrat. I think if Mark, let me put it like this: I think if Mark Milley came out and said the same shit about President Biden, he also served. Even in 2024, that would be the end. Like, that would be a scandal that would latch on to Harris. Everybody would be flipping out about it. But Trump is this exception, and it's incredibly dangerous. It goes back to things that we talked about before.
Dude, really,
we cannot
really
have a
spinning
functional
again.
Society, not just we obviously have to have some sort of shared factual reality, but we also have to have some shared value set. And this is part of the reason why I don't know if I buy this
Practice
idea
critical
about,
hits.
So-called American values. I don't know what American
Very
values
effective.
are anymore, given that 50% of the country seems to have abandoned the values that they used to claim
What is
were
this?
American. So again, a notion of truth and responsibility and civic engagement, and with power comes responsibility. I don't know what any of that means anymore, and that's why I think so much is riding on this election, because if Donald Trump is rewarded for all of this stuff, what will it mean for the next election, even if he leaves office in 2028? I think we have gone past the point of no return and Trump wins this election.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a symptom and a cause, and I mean, like, symptomatically, Trump is so popular for a reason, but he also furthers the cause at the same time. You know, like, there's definitely an issue right now with our society that somebody like him could be so popular, but he also exacerbates it and makes it worse. Yeah, those are good talking points, though. I approve of them. Whoever you've been listening to, yeah, very good on that. We definitely have to have a shared value set. We definitely have to be in a world where we're all kind of like playing by
I
the
need
same
the
rules, because
crafting
otherwise things necessarily
battery.
collapse, and descend into absurdity. So, give me a final, anything else quick that's going on, anything we should keep our eyes open to on the horizon.
So I would just say a couple of things. So President Obama is on the campaign stump, and so is President Clinton for Kamala Harris in these next, 20-something, 25 days. So they're like, they're out making speeches, they're out making deliveries. Obama had a barn burner in his Pittsburgh speech. By the way, he also flexed, which Democrats don't do. He talked about how there's an amnesia surrounding Trump, and Trump tries to take credit for anything, but Obama passed off a pretty good economy to Trump. He says people tend to discount that, but it's true. So definitely want to keep an eye on how the stump speeches will impact the election, because Obama is still the most popular person in the Democratic Party, bar none. So I'm glad they're bringing out the big guns. I will say, with respect to the election, we are seeing an increasing number of right-leaning pollsters that tend to be more conservative in general, and they just
I need to see the bitch.
results. So a lot of tourism being spread. And listen, this is going to be a very close election unless it totally defies the odds. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 270, 268, sort of split. And so we should brace ourselves accordingly. But I will also say the New York Times Siena poll for Arizona and Pennsylvania just dropped today, and Trump is leading in Arizona, but he's behind in Pennsylvania. Harris is leading. So just keep this in mind, that this is within the margin of error. Nate Silver, 538, the Silver Bulletin, the Political Report, they still favor Harris, even now, over Trump, but we cannot get complacent, and that's why, the Wisconsin canvassing events, the Youth Progressive Victory orchestrated, these things are extremely important. We need to keep the faith, we need to turn out and vote. But right now, even though the polls are tightening, Harris is still favored, so we still have a shot.
Yeah, I'm just constantly reminded every time I see these like memes posted on X or posted on Reddit, where it's like, American population, candidate A or candidate B, which one is like Hitler? 82% candidate A. American population poll, which candidate cares about being a good person? Candidate A, 92%. Candidate B, 8%. Which politician seems like they would murder a homeless person? And it's like candidate A, 12%. Candidate B, like 88%. And then it's like, who would you vote for? And it's like 49-51 split. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, wait, what is happening? Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, hey, listen, thanks for catching up. I look forward to you returning to the United States, and so we don't have to communicate via satellite international connection. I think Elon Musk is sabotaging our communication, but thank you very much.
He's terrified. He's terrified. He knows the superpower here. He knows what DGG is capable of. He's definitely going to choose Peace Go, I think, in the next conversation.
Yeah, you think so? Okay, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
It's bad. It's really bad, right? It's every like few days there's a new like what should be an election ending thing.
Yeah. Yeah, everything. The dogs thing by itself. The dogs thing by itself.
The dogs thing?
You don't even remember eating the cats, eating the dogs?
I don't even remember, because now in my head it's the Elon Musk rally thing, the donation thing, the thing removed from Twitter on Vance is still there. Is that a new article? Sorry, okay, we need it. Okay.
So don't ask me about the Elon Musk donation thing. I don't know anything.
Hello, Pisco. Welcome to our weekly update that has taken a couple weeks off. I've been out of town. We've been doing stuff, but yeah, catch us up. What's been going on?
Yeah, it's good to be back. First of all, welcome back. And yeah, we have 2 stories this week. The first is our good friend Jack's special counsel into the investigations into Donald Trump. He released a filing recently, which is addressing some of these issues in the immunity decision.
I should have waited a little bit.
I do indeed recall that.
Yeah, we don't really agree with the immunity decision, Stephen and I. We think that it's textual. We think it's not supported by the structure of the Constitution, and we basically think that out of whole cloth, the Supreme Court, in the decision by Chief Justice Roberts, manufactured a legislative convention to create this immunity doctrine that has no foundation in our history or the structure of the Constitution. That said, we're respecters of the law, and when the Supreme Court says what the law is, lower courts, and certainly federal prosecutors, are bound to accept that law as precedent. Jack Smith, in order to comply with his ruling, needed to make certain findings of fact and present them to the court. Now, what findings of fact they have to make relate to whether or not certain conduct that Donald Trump is being indicted for is quote-unquote official conduct or unofficial conduct. You can imagine the president's role is pretty broad in our system of government. At its maximal, you might even say the president has an official duty to speak in the bully pulpit to the general public. Obviously, the president has a lot of responsibilities in negotiating with even
Tanong niya
states,
siguro,
right?
ba't
I
ako
mean, right
naka
now, we're talking
200?
about President Biden's response,
Wala lang. Much better.
Kamala Harris's response to the hurricanes and natural disasters.
Just
There's a lot of role.
real quick, just to expand on that a little bit. So, for the immunity decision passed by the court, Roberts basically defined 3 different categories of actions that a president could theoretically take or could take, right? That an action will either be something that is basically like essential and exclusively in the purview of the president. It's a thing that only he can do. Congress, nobody else can even touch that action. And that when he's performing those actions, he should be beyond all form of criminal review. You can't even ask questions about it. You can't use it as evidence towards another crime. The second bucket, he said, were, he called them official acts, but they might not be things that only the president could do. So there's going to be some level of presumptive immunity, which is a new thing I believe that's been created by Roberts.
Why is everybody
if you
here?
want to prosecute a president for doing an act, so this might be something that he does, but Congress also can kind of like do this as well, where they might have like authorized it via statute or something like that.
Can we go one by one,
You have to make
please?
an argument in front of the court before you even go to court. You have to make the argument that if we probe on this action, it's not going to do damage to the
They can do the
executive
guard
that will
counter
prevent
as
them
well?
from carrying out their job. And then the third thing is unofficial acts. And now these 3 buckets have been kind of, I'm not going to do the both sides thing. I was going to say weaponized by people on both sides. It's not, because in the most extreme version on the left side,
Aha,
the theory is,
bitch.
well, what if the president in an official act starts assassinating political rivals? Now, people on the right assure us that, well, that can't happen because that's not an official act. Okay, Roberts didn't address that very issue that was brought up by Sotomayor in the dissent, and he had the opportunity to. They passed these drafts out, and he chose not to address that particular hypothetical, which was annoying. And so now we're on the second 2 things, which we're going to get into, the official acts and unofficial acts. But the scary thing is, like you said, well, what is an official act or versus an unofficial act? Going by the structure of how this ruling is, as much as I hate it, I can see a world where you do delineate, but the thing that's going to trigger me even more than that particular ruling is if the Supreme Court quibbles over these delineations, and I can already see ways in reading things that I'm going to get unimaginably triggered. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that I agree largely with your analysis there. I would say that the core executive authorities is a subset of officials, so there's kind of 2, it grounds out into 3 buckets, but they're kind of 3 categories, which is official, unofficial, and then core, and you could say non-core. And I think that the core relates to within the executive's inclusive and exclusive authority. And so, yeah, grounds out into those three buckets largely. But things that are unofficial are not connected at all. And as you're saying, sometimes it can be hard to see what is official and what's not official, especially with respect to like actions that involve other government officials, but maybe not the purpose that those government officials are around for. And so yes, in this case, I could very much see some quibbling if this will get to the court, and it's almost certainly absolutely going to come to the point. However, what the Supreme Court asked Jack Smith to do is to have some kind of evidentiary-based and fact-based findings in order to conclude initially whether or not something is in one of these buckets or another bucket. You can imagine that makes sense, Stephen, because the whole point of the immunity doctrine is to
Come here,
have
boy.
these kinds of incentives and to prevent these cases
Let's do
from
this.
coming to fruition before you go to trial, right? Like, you don't want to try the case to see if you can try the case. And so that's why the Supreme Court is pushing for there to be an
Motherfucking.
evidentiary ruling early before the trial. Otherwise,
Duke is
the
afraid.
immunity doctrine be obviated or just after the trial anyway, and at the back end we have to find out whether something is official or unofficial. So when people are complaining, hey, how come Jack Smith is like releasing all this stuff? He is doing no more and no less than what the Supreme Court is asking him to do, and I disagree with people like Elden who say otherwise, and we can get into that at some point in time. But any comments on that, on the timing, or on what's being asked of Jack Smith?
No, I think I understand him.
Yes, and the unofficial actions, those are things that are outside of the outer perimeter of the president's kind of duties as the president of the United States. And so in this particular filing that Jack Smith is submitting to the district court in Washington, D.C., he is essentially making the following argument, based on certain case law in the D.C. Circuit, that when a president is also running for office, when he's wearing the hat of presidential candidate, as a candidate for office, he is doing things that are unofficial. But when he's wearing the hat of relating to his official duties, it's a little bit circular, then he is acting officially. But every time he is trying to promote his candidacy and like work with the campaign and work with private actors related to the campaign, then that is something that's acting unofficial. Now you can start to see some problems there in that analysis, in the sense of, and this is the problem I think of the Supreme Court, is presidents do things to get elected all the time within their official duties, right? The president might take an actual policy position in a matter because they know it's popular or not popular. You could think of the position on fracking, the administration's positions on fracking or tariffs. These are things that I'm sure part of what they're thinking about is, well, is this going to help me in the campaign or not? However, there's a
Just
key
keep
distinction. I think that some people
killing.
are
Just
missing
keep
this.
killing.
The court, and in this filing, you can see that Jack Smith is very aware of this. The court told us,
What's
the
this?
Supreme Court did, we're not supposed to look towards purpose. We're not supposed to look towards subjective intent when we're determining whether something is official or unofficial.
Oi.
That's why we're having all these crazy hypotheticals
You
about
there.
SEAL Team 6, because you're not actually supposed to look towards the literal motivations, the subjective motivations of the president at the time they take these actions. You have to look at the objective use of their powers. You have to look at the context and sort of remove it from the sort of purpose of the particular act or action. I just want to give you some space, Steve.
So one thing I will say is Roberts was entirely wrong. He's either wrong or the country is destroyed when he said that this ruling needs to be divorced from President Trump's case, and we need to kind of rule in a way that kind of stands the test of time, that's not just individualized to him, because we need to, because the ruling should apply to everybody. This is a ruling for Donald Trump. We cannot, the country does not survive if we're constantly electing presidents that we all want to charge with crimes. It's just, it's unbelievable. The thing that worries me,
That's the
and this is
Elden
what
tree.
worries me, okay, is because I feel, and I think Jack Smith, who is clearly an
I don't know
obvious
what the
DGG
fuck the
listener,
name of the
okay,
tree is.
thank you, Jack. I feel like Trump, there's a kill shot, or I won't use that word, I'm sorry, because I want to trigger some conservatives. There is a guillotine lopping the head off of, okay, Trump's main defense here, in my opinion, when it comes to this immunity ruling, because, and there are so many moving parts and so many people that get credit, but people like Richard Donahue, people like Steve Engel, people like Jeffrey Rosen, people like Eric Hirschman, all of these guys were official White House people that when Trump came to them, they said, no, we're not helping you with this, this is insane. Which means that all of Trump's actions that he was taking towards his conspiracy to flip the election was done with private legal counsel that was not involved with the White House. Jack Smith hits on this a few times, and I'm hoping this has to be like a very big kill shot to, is that an official act or is it an unofficial act? Well, you know, because you and I think reasonable minds can disagree on, well, there are some things that, you know, could be either one. But when Donald Trump is engaged in behavior where he is exclusively relying on private legal counsel that has no affiliation and often is standing in contrast to the White House, and this is the main thing, the worry that I have that will cause my brain to explode, is if you get people on the Supreme Court trying to argue that, well, actually, I believe that these were official acts taken by Donald Trump in the capacity as president when he was collaborating with and co-conspiring with and taking advice from individual attorneys that he hired in a private legal sense. I feel like that's a huge issue for Trump, and it's going to be an easy way to overcome the presumptive immunity. I hope, because he relied on so much private legal counsel. I hope.
Yeah, and you'll see, because the special counsel is very aware that you're not supposed to look to subjective intent, they're taking an objective analysis, they're taking the facts of the communications, who received them, and what they were objectively about, as opposed to comes to subjective
Guard break.
And Stephen is in on one of the things that they're constantly referencing his private attorney, or he was part of the private corporation of the RNC. This is Ronna McDaniel, who's mentioned a lot of times in his filing. By the way, a lot of these names are blacked out, but because of context, we understand who these people are. So yes, those kind of objectives.
I hope you're doing fine, Frank.
Their rules. We would hope that would be the context that the Supreme Court is kind of pushing us towards to look at. And that is something that Jack Smith is relying on heavily. There are government officials here in this filing, but essentially what's being argued is because of the
smoldering
that when a government official,
smoldering
like the White House
butterfly.
counsel, is literally doing things to promote the candidacy of Donald Trump objectively, as opposed to taking any kind of action within their purview, in their job responsibilities, that they are acting as a private, unofficial kind of conduct. So yes, those measures, what they're working towards, what their communications
What the
are
fuck,
about,
man?
is about the campaign. You literally have Jack Smith parsing out in certain communications to state officials, because Trump did try to coerce state officials. And there are certain communications to those state officials about COVID, and Jack Smith will say in the same conversation, we're not looking towards the conversation about COVID because we recognize there could be some official
Yeah.
President of the United States talking to the state
Dead.
about COVID. However, when the conversation turns to objectively about the campaign and efforts to certify,
Would I die if I get hit by that?
Michigan, that is unofficial conduct, so says Jackson. Quick response to that.
Yeah, I think the thing that
don't
scares me
die?
the most about this
What
being
does it
remanded to
do?
the lower courts is that there's this thing that Roberts wrote about the
The
presumptive
fuck,
immunities
man?
using the official
Did
acts
you think
that
you
are
could
like
win?
or exclusive powers of the president, right?
Give me the
And
power,
Roberts
give me the
said
power.
that
I don't
to
know what
challenge
it
these, you have
does.
to show that in doing so, you will not intrude upon the vigor of the executive in carrying out these functions in the future ever. And that's a scary thing to me, because it reminds me of, I remember when I get after I did my home inspection, I went to get my house appraised, and I was kind of worried afterwards. I was like, okay, well, I got to get a loan for the house. They're going to come and appraise it. Well, what am I going to do if they appraise it like way less than what I want to get the mortgage for? And the appraiser person and then my real estate agent told me, you're willing to pay $155,000 for this house, right? I'm like, yeah, that's what you've agreed to pay. Yeah. Well, obviously that's what it's worth, right? You're literally going to go pay for this. Everybody else in the neighborhood is about the same, so of course they're going to appraise it at about that value. This is literally what you're willing to pay for it. Assuming there's something hugely wrong with it. Like, oh, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like in a literal actual sense. One thing that scares me about that presumptive immunity thing is this has never been, ever, to be clear, and I want to reiterate this a billion times, okay? But because, by the way, this was the same complaint about, and I think it was somewhat of a valid complaint about Roe and I think Casey, when they laid out all of these new categories of like abortion, guidelines, whatever. They're like, this looks like legislation. Why are you creating this stuff? Like you said, out of whole cloth. This presumptive immunity, the core immunity, absolute immunity, the unofficial acts, but none of this exists anywhere in the history or the text of anything. There's nothing historical. There's nothing. This is the most living, breathing, constitutional, fabrication of legislation from the bench you've ever seen in your time. Okay? But my biggest fear is, since we've never tried a case like this before, and since there's no record of a president even making statements like this, if we're being good faith and pretending that this is all written in good faith, wouldn't it mean a lot if the only president to have been tried for a crime like this were to say as part of his defense, listen, if you're going to try me for this as a crime, I might never call a state ever to check in on a crime, to check in on an election, to check, even if I think there's crime, I'll never do it. Well, if the only guy who's ever been tried for this crime is saying that, how do you overcome the presumptive immunity to say that, like, well, look, I don't think it would intrude at all. Okay, well, the guy that was literally in office, he says that it would intrude. So, yeah, that balancing test, that's the big part where I'm like, oh, fuck me, I don't know how the Supreme Court is going to try to balance
Yeah,
that.
I totally understand your concerns. I share them, and I agree that what the court was doing was mapping
No more unsheet.
like Nixon and other cases. And
Di ba mo magpapakita si Melania Trump?
It's not supported by any of the history or the
Oh,
structure
here
of
she
the
is.
Constitution. 100%. To be clear, Jack Smith is arguing every single action that is alleged in the indictment, in the new indictment. There was a superseding indictment after the immunity decision to excise all of the core conduct identified as core executive, and that conduct related to the Department of Justice, Trump's usage of the Department of Justice.
Insane. Insane that it is a core power of the president to tell your DOJ head, to tell your attorney general, you need to lie, you need to be clear, that the evidence we can't use anymore is Donald Trump going to the Department of Justice saying, hey, can you lie to the state so we found voter fraud? And then it was William Barr saying, sorry, we got you. Okay, bye, Barr. Rosen and Danya come in. Hey, can you guys send out a letter lying to the state saying we found evidence of voter fraud? And then them going, well, no, I don't think so. And then Trump going, oh, okay, well, this environmental lawyer, Clark, I'm going to make him the head and I'm going to make him do it, okay? Because he'll send out that letter and fucking lie for me, okay? And then they said, okay, well, you know, your whole DOJ is going to quit on you. Good luck. And Trump's like, okay, whatever. That's an official core power of the president. And this is so important to understand, okay? Because when people say, well, the SEAL Team 6 thing doesn't make sense, and I've heard you argue, we've argued this together, I've heard a conservative respond and say, it's not a core power to assassinate political opponents. It's like, what do you mean? It is a core power to run the military and potentially to do assassinations, right? Yeah, but not to assassinate political opponents, right? And you see what they're doing there is they're intuitively fighting the Supreme Court decision, saying, well, maybe we do need to look at the intention of an act. Maybe it does require some sort of review or analysis to figure out if it's good or bad. But the immunity ruling says no, and this also pisses me off, okay? And this is why for Justice Barrett, I'm glad that she wrote this in her concurrence. I wish she would have dissented. I know she's got it in her. She's going to be the biggest warrior in the Supreme Court. I can feel it coming up, okay? And she pointed out, why did Roberts, of the 4 big actions that we're talking about in the indictment, why did Roberts take the time, waste the ink and parchment to write, by the way, that DOJ stuff, that's probably core, so we're not even going to look at that. He didn't even remand that to the lower courts for review, which is absurd. Because who's to say that Jack Smith wouldn't have presented it in a different way had he known that we were going to be fabricating new buckets of presidential immunity? Sorry, but yeah. Anyway, that would be the thing that's up beyond judicial review now, and Jack Smith can't even approach it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that the Chief Justice of the United States, while he is willing to address a hypothetical by Amy Coney Barrett, that is to say the bribery allegations, which is apropos because there seems to be tons of bribery allegations these days of both Democrats and Republicans. So Chief Justice Roberts does take the time to address that hypothetical. For some reason, he's silent about the parade of horribles because he has to accept that is the case. That there are some objective things the president is allowed to use deadly force for the purpose of national security, or whatever you want to say, that a wily president could trivially come up with some pretextual memorandum stating that a political rival is a threat to the United States, and you can't look at the purpose, you can't look to the sham. And so yeah, all of that is gone from the superseded indictment of Jack Smith, but Jack Smith, everything else is unofficial, except the court also held that conversations with Mike Pence about the certification of the vote is official. But they said that it's presumptive.
Where would I get the spirit bell?
That it's subject to presumptive.
Can I get it from you if I kill you?
The council's going to have to give evidence or come to some argument about why it would not pose any threat to the prerogatives of the executive if they were to allow charges based on the communications to Mike Pence about the certification of the vote. So everything else, though, Jack Smith is saying is unofficial, largely because they relate to the campaign. And they're relying heavily on this precedent from the D.C. Circuit where a candidate for office, and this kind of makes sense, right? If it's true that a candidate for office can take official actions, then I guess Trump right now could be taking official actions. Right now he's a candidate for office. Or you could say that Joe Biden at the time, he was only doing so much as Trump could do with respect to being a candidate for office.
Time per head.
So that argument makes intuitive sense and backed up by precedent. And so he's making a big effort to tie everything to these are related to campaigning for office. And the objective is not.
Motherfucker, I killed
One
myself.
area, and this also includes, by the way, conversations with Mike Pence about winning. Not about the certification of the vote, but conversations with Mike Pence about the campaign, about who won and who lost. Jack Smith is saying, as between the comments to Michael Pence, you can separate even between those about the certification, which are presumptively immune, and we can rebut it, or the conversations about who won the election, did we win, did we lose, what did we do. So those are kind of the buckets that
Holy shit.
putting them into, and
I'm stuck. Ah!
everything is unfolding. Now, what is the data so what of this document? Number one, it's 160 plus pages of great analysis, but the first section, section 1, everyone should take this is the factual that Jack Smith is able to present, and it is chilling. There are some new things in the past that we weren't aware of. There are facts related to Trump acknowledging that he's going to say he won. Attested to by multiple people.
My souls! My dark souls!
Yeah, but now we have like
Or,
4 or 5 people saying
rooms,
the same
I don't know,
thing,
what the
saying
fuck,
he
whatever.
victory, even if,
Souls
Republican
game.
wins. We have other comments that he made about Mike Pence during January 6th, where he says like, I don't give a shit if he lives or dies. And so there's a lot of rich detail. And
You had the comment of multiple people, I believe, attested to him being in the room where Sidney Powell was calling in, and then him muting the phone and saying like, sounds like she's from Star Trek. She's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And why does this matter, right? Because people will say till their dying death that is MAGA people, Trump legitimately thought that he won the election. If you read this filing and come away with the conclusion that it is at all possible, in reasonable way, that Trump thought that he won the election, you're not reading it correctly. There are multiple areas, multiple places in this filing, this motion, where it is abundantly obvious that Donald Trump believes that he lost the election. When he says, as Stephen just referenced, all the things that Sidney Powell is saying on the phone to him in real time, mutes himself and says, she's crazy, she sounds like Star Trek. That is an admission. It's an admission that what she's saying is false. When she says Tucker Carlson owned, when he says Tucker Carlson owned Sidney Powell on Fox News, that is an admission that what Sidney Powell is saying is false. And yet he's hawking it. He's hawking it to state legislators. He's hawking it to fake electors who are part of the conspiracy. And he's hawking it to Mike Pence, Brad Raffensperger on a phone call, 511,000 votes. All of this is part of a large effort before even the election happened, where their design plan was to declare victory no matter what.
Motherfucker.
They did it anyway. And it's shock and make every American
Blood loss.
impossible for them to vote for Donald Trump.
Best thing in the game.
Yeah.
You also have to be aware, like, this is not, like, when we talk about Hunter Biden, we're reading uncorroborated, what's the abbreviation for the FBI, CIA? Yeah, you're reading these uncorroborated intel reports. You're looking at, like, public filings of transfers and emails of who's the big man, right? These are your stories that Republicans have hung their hat on in terms of there being irrefutable proof there's corruption. When it comes to this plot for overturning the election, there are hundreds of hours of depositions, on-camera testimony, the whole J6 committee. That's an 830-page report that is meticulously sourced. It is, whatever you read in the Jack Smith indictment, just know that the hardest thing about putting together the case against Trump is how much do you cut? Because there is so much more beyond what's even presented. It is beyond a reasonable doubt. There are no reasonable minds that could disagree on whether or not there was an intentional plan the entire time that Donald Trump used. I have not sat through, but kind of related, I went through with an editor yesterday. I finally found somebody, or 2 days ago, to put together my big 6 video that I'm working on, or whatever. And I went through, and it took me about 6 hours to get through. And every single person I've walked through this stuff with, at the end, is like, holy shit, this is actually fucking insane. And he's like, he's
1,000 times worse.
Yes.
Watergate.
And he's not even, it's not even close. Watergate is what, the FBI, what did they do? They broke in and they stole some tapes that the president knew about or something? Like, it's so minor compared to this. It's like, who cares?
Fuck, I didn't touch it?
And
Stupid.
The worry is, I feel like J6 will be 10 years from now, like, oh, like the rise
encourage everybody to read section 1 of this filing. It'll give you the full story about all the efforts, and we'll put a link as well, an annotated version of the brief, which will put you at least most of the names under that are redacted, so you can follow along and see how horrible this plan, this attempted self-coup, this eventual insurrection was. And just to be clear about what the theories here are.
The fuck are you?
Tried to steal your vote. Trump tried to subvert the electoral count, and Trump tried to obstruct an official proceeding by, one, lying to state officials and trying to coerce them to undeclare their electoral votes and to declare them for Trump and Pence. He tried to have a fake elector coup. Then he tried to enlist Mike Pence to change the results of the election, using his ceremonial role to just declare him the winner. And then fourth and finally, he got his, and I would say incited, an insurrection against the United States Capitol on January 6th, both in his speech at the Ellipse and specifically, and this is irrefutable, when he was aware at around 2:20 something p.m. that the Capitol had been breached, that Mike Pence was under attack. So he already knows there's violence. This is after the Ellipse. He already knows there's violence. He already knows there's a breach. He sent a tweet citing his mob, justifying them. That is an incitement of insurrection that was ongoing, and for that, I believe that Jackson should have charged insurrection. But even without that, I think there's plenty here. Even without the official acts, there is so much evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump is
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's insane, it's absurd, but I guess we will see how it all plays out. I think, we can argue this, I think he should have charged incitement as well. And going over everything, I can understand why you want to stay away from it, but I feel like so much political conversation about hairy topics is like, here's like the spectrum of actions. It's on my camera, it's like this, and then you have like, this is like, it's a fuzzy area here, but we're like way over here, and it's like, okay, whatever the fuzzy area is, we are way beyond that, and it's,
100%. I see that we're running out of time, so
yeah, what's any one more story or something we should be keeping an eye open on, or
yeah, keep an eye, all of you, both on these filings, but also what's going to happen out of X and Twitter. There are a lot of legal stories that are coming out of X and Twitter and Elon Musk that I think deserve your attention. If you guys,
How do I get there though? There's a note, so I can get there.
in our spaces about the dossier.
Maybe the other side?
amendment that was
Probably.
implications of the fact
Let's go, horsey.
Elon Musk and the reporting that he is censoring information critical of J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, the implications on the hypocrisy of moderate conservatives, and specifically on the efforts to try to paint the 2020 election as stolen when it wasn't, and it was barely won by Joe Biden. But yeah, stay tuned on that news and follow us on Twitter and watch our spaces. We discuss it.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a bit, hopefully we have this video there tomorrow, but thanks for joining us. I love you, Peace Scott. We will catch you next week.
Stay cool.
Cool. Did you see the New York Times thing that Elon communicated to Trump before they even took it down? I don't know if people are stealing my talking points or not. I don't care if they are. I won't cut it. But if they are, whatever, it's fine. I saw that 4chan green post, or the green text, and like, finally, where they're like, how is it the guy that wants to put microchips in your brain, okay, who has satellites, is helping Trump, like, what the... Interesting.
We're gonna, let's do it, you're still gonna, like, probably 2 or 2:30 or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my thing with Lodabox, and I'll run upstairs and start streaming, so...
Okay, cool. Later.
Love you, bye. How you doing? Catch us up. What's been going on in the past couple weeks in world affairs? And by world affairs, I mean really Ukraine.
I need to catch up on file law. So, it was breaking news, I guess, just a few days after our last talk, but Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, is dead. He was killed in an airstrike on a handful of apartment blocks in Beirut, in the Dahia suburb. I think Israel used about 80 tons of bombs to get to him in his underground bunker, so he's gone. Almost the entire leadership ranks of Hezbollah, the top commanders, his potential successors, a bunch of them have been taken out as well. Definitely one of his potential successors is gone, maybe a second one. It's just been one thing after another, and just a series of military successes on his own part that have showed Hezbollah
Challenging
takes
bosses.
about
Fuck
2
that
weeks
shit.
to just
Not
be
yet.
either completely outclassed or just, I guess, a paper tiger. So that's dominated most of the news now, and the ground operation from Israel into South Lebanon is continuing. The death toll is something over 2,000. There's been some imaging from the health ministry of whether or not the people are militants. The health ministry probably doesn't even know. So it looks like what was termed to be a limited operation, kind of is, but limited operation in a very, very militarized area obviously means that it's another big incursion happening right now.
So to remind people, Hezbollah is the, I guess you could say, paramilitary, whatever organization that kind of runs southern Lebanon, although now they have a few seats in the actual Lebanese government. They are largely considered to be supported by Iran. They do a lot working with Assad in Syria, and obviously they are an instigator to the north of Israel. And they've kind of been fighting back and forth since October 7th, since the Gazan war began there. And now Israel is like taking, I guess, is it a full-scale like ground invasion? Or are they just trying to push them, you know, like more north of the Litani River to have more area where they can't launch rockets from? Or has Israel said what their stated goal is for this particular attack? Or
So, not. So they kind of have, but in another sense, not really. A
Yo!
They said that their goal is to
Didn't
return the
bite.
displaced 60,000
I use
people
that.
back to their
I'm cheater.
homes and people who have fled because of rocket fire and tank fire and everything else. That's not really a military objective. That's an end state of affairs for the war. Whether it means they want to push Hezbollah's military past the north of the Litani, which is this kind of small 10% of the country in Lebanon between the Israeli blue line and the rest of Lebanon. It could be that they want to push them north, although probably means you need to explain what exactly Hezbollah is. So like you said, they're the largest non-state military in the world.
Is that
They
it?
are very much in line with
Fuck, there's
the
nothing here?
IRGC in Iran. They are seen as the jewel of the axis of resistance, the big ones in the Levant. Not like Hamas. Hamas are like a contractor. to
Right,
Iran.
right.
Hamas will have disputes with Iran. Hamas will lose funding from Iran if they don't support Syria in the civil war, if they don't support Assad, which happened in 2013. Hezbollah are very, very linked with Iran. They are also organic though. They're also part of the Lebanese community. They are the Shia community in Lebanon. A group of people who were historically abandoned by the Christian and Sunni elite of the country, basically made them ripe for radicalization and indoctrination in the 70s and 80s when a bunch of them were displaced by Israeli invading forces. So they are integral to Lebanese society with or without Iran's support. They depend a lot on Iran's support, but the idea of pushing them back is a kind of flawed concept because the Shia community in South Lebanon is always going to favor Hezbollah, politically or otherwise. So it's not so much about pushing them north, it's about disarming. That's really the concept that they're talking about. The reason people don't like to phrase it in that way is because pushing back sounds like you win a few battles and they retreat. Well, disarming means you're going to go house to house, find every weapon stockpile you can, destroy it, capture it, engage in urban warfare, blow up the building and the tunnel afterwards.
I can
It
do
basically
you
means
one
that
on one.
although it's only 10% of the country, houses like
Mano y
5,000
mano.
people, a lot of those houses are built by Hezbollah for Hezbollah to attack Israel. So they can call it a limited incursion if they want, but limited means you're literally going house to house in hundreds of towns and villages and trying to take out stockpiles and fighting a very still, despite everything, a very battle-hardened group. People have been fighting since some of these Israeli soldiers were still like babies, right? They've been fighting in Syria since 2012 and 2015. Some of them have been fighting since 2006. So
Come on, bring out your sword, big
it's going to
boy.
be pretty difficult. It's going to be pretty long, I think, despite all the passes. Limited. They're not going to go for the entire country. But limited does mean there's going to be a lot of damage, a lot of maybe even irreparable damage. So
Doesn't he drop anything?
does Lebanon, does the actual Lebanese government have a military? Or is it just the...
They do. There's a Lebanese armed forces, I think it's called. There's a running joke that the Lebanese army is maybe the 5th most powerful militant group in Lebanon.
in Lebanon? Is there any world where Hezbollah, also is it Hezbollah or Hezbollah?
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah. Is there any world where
There's a few different ways you can pronounce it.
Sure. Is there any world where Hezbollah is so weakened that the Lebanese military can actually be the military of Lebanon, or is that a pipe dream?
So that seems to be one of the goals. The only way I think that happens is if Hezbollah lose enough support that the Lebanese army can feel like they're in a position to take over the area, that's going to lead to a lot of backlash if they're ever seen to be doing that, including with Israel. So that's a big problem. They don't want to suffer the same fate as the South Lebanese army, the Christians, did in the 70s and 80s. So it is possible, but we're a long way from here to there. So as far as militant groups go in Lebanon, Hezbollah is really the only big one left. There are still some factions of Hamas kicking around in the Palestinian refugee camps, although they're quite meaningless. It is mostly just Hezbollah and the Lebanese army.
Nice. Almost
The
died.
Lebanese army is famously corrupt, quite useless. They politically have very low incentive to come off as antagonistic to Hezbollah because of how popular they are amongst the Shia leaders and how much backlash they would get from Israel. So it's, yeah, that might be one of the goals, although it's not really been articulated by Israel. That's probably still a long way away. Not impossible, but far away.
I wish that Israel would work a little bit more with neighbors in terms of building regional stability rather than just kind of like destroying people around them and then going back and being like, okay, we're safe now because these guys are all fucked. Because it feels like they're always kind of like, they're creating the future conditions or they're currently creating conditions for future conflict by not permanently solving any issues. Although, to be fair, I mean, could Israel permanently solve a military issue in Lebanon? Or, you know, maybe not, but I guess it's different than Gaza, yeah.
Kind of. There's a big contrast between this and 2006, though, is that the last time Israel tried to kill Nasrallah seriously was in 2006. They gave a warning to the people of Dahia, South Beirut, that they were going to bomb a bunch of key locations. One was the Hezbollah headquarters, one had Nasrallah's apartment, the other one had the main TV station that they broadcast from. So they had a few targets. The warning they gave lasted anything between 18 and 24 hours. It was quite a long warning. So they give the warning, a bunch of people evacuate, they strike these locations, and I think the consensus amongst intelligence groups is that Nasrallah stayed in his building, in the bunker, but just survived the blast. And despite them hitting all their targets and flattening them to the ground, Nasrallah appeared on TV a couple of hours later. The TV station had been broadcasting from a discrete location. So they bombed this place like 20 times in different locations, but it just constantly kept broadcasting throughout the war.
I think it's like over the course of a month, didn't that station come down for like 100 minutes? It was like, I think it was broadcasting almost continuously, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, they completely outsmarted him on that one. So Nasrallah, after this strike, appears on TV a few hours after it's happened, and he says to the citizens of Beirut, go and look out to the Mediterranean, go look out at the sea. We are going to bomb the ship that just bombed our city. And this Israeli Navy vessel gets struck by a surface-to-shore missile that came from Iran. And it lights this massive fire in the sea, and 5 Israeli sailors die. So he did that, and to the Arab people, especially in Lebanon, that sent a really strong message. That was like, wow, this guy said he was going to do something militarily just after surviving an attack, and actually did it. He actually got a one-up on Israel, and that's not a very common thing. Mostly it's always rhetorical for Christian leaders. So that massively boosted the popularity, and then all the Israeli failures later on in the war only helped with that, to the point that people who historically opposed Hezbollah became massively in favor of it. Sunnis would start housing Shia refugees in their houses. Christians, even some very wealthy Christians, were starting to warm up to Hezbollah. My own family did. So it's like but that radicalization happens in 2 ways. One, because you're being attacked, but also because you're being attacked and you're actually fighting back effectively. I don't know if Hezbollah are going to achieve the exact same results, given that they have been so militarily humiliated. And Nasrallah is, you would think, for a religious group, people like Nasrallah might be easy to replace because there's not much ideological diversity in religious fundamentalism. But that's not entirely true, because Nasrallah is a very charismatic person. He had a very good way of engaging with the average Lebanese person because he came from an urban Beirut environment. He was quite poor, he had a commoner's accent, he told jokes, he was very funny, charismatic, and he had been there for a while, he survived for a long time. So he was able to build up support even from outside of traditional Shia communities. If you look at his replacements, they're it's not even worth naming them half the time. It didn't even really get that high in the news when the number 2s and the number 3s were dying because no one knew who they were, no one cared who they were.
I definitely noticed in going over the history of Israel, the individual people are incredibly important. That the outcomes of history are not inevitable insofar as the leadership is concerned. Like, it really matters who's at what place at what time. And then it's funny you bring up Nasrallah blowing up the ship in the ocean. It reminds me of I don't believe it wasn't the Samu incident, but I think it was later on. It was sometime in the mid or late 60s. It's when Arafat was part of he was part of a resistance camp or whatever, and I think Israel came in to invade or came in to blow something up, and I think the Jordanian military came back and they managed to fend them off, but the King of Jordan was willing to give Arafat all the credit, and all of the Palestinians and surrounding Arabs that saw Arafat, the perception is, wow, he actually beat back the Israeli military, this ragtag group of Fedayeen fighters, and that was like Arafat's crowning moment where he started to become the representatives of the Palestinian people, and he started to gain a lot of notoriety, well, not notoriety, a lot of fame, I guess, in that world as well. So a lot of parallels there, I guess, between him and Nasrallah.
Yeah, it does show you how even minor military successes, because they're against an army that is so historically dominant, can get you so far in that area. But it also shows you how it doesn't always last. So there was a poll from the Arab Barometer not long ago, polling Gaza and the West Bank. And whilst Hamas have retained a lot of their popularity in the West Bank throughout this war, I think the last poll had Hamas at 6%. It was really, really low. It seems that disillusionment has finally happened in the region, because now the broad military sort of battalion-style conflict is done. Now it's sort of Hamas re-emerging in these areas as the IDF starts to leave and move around.
Yo, that's a dirty dog. What the fuck?
Kind of almost like mob rule rather than a legitimate government. So their legitimacy has been really, really hammered by this, even though it was only a year ago when they pulled up October 7th, which is the biggest Palestinian military achievement ever, quickly. So, yeah, it doesn't seem to last very long. But I think looking forward now, the big question is really coming over what happens between Israel and Iran, because Iran is supposed to be the big ally of Hezbollah. They're supposed to be the sort of the leader of the axis of resistance. And in April, they launched a bunch of missiles at Israel and warned the Americans ahead of time that they were going to do that. So everything was intercepted, basically, minimal damage. They did another strike after the death of Nasrallah recently. That was on Kamatis page. There was some damage. The only person who died was a Palestinian in Jericho, who was like the casing of a missile. But it does show you that Iran are kind of starting to play with fire a little bit, because they can't do nothing anymore. They have to do something. But they also don't want to do enough to provoke legitimizing a strike that might actually really, really hurt them.
Yeah.
So that's really the big question right now. And there's so much. I guess we can talk about the internal politics in Iran that's kind of shaping this.
Yeah, we can. I thought, real quick, I wish that, man, dude, I just recently had a couple, do you know what Einat Wilf is? Israeli lady?
She's written about refugees, right?
I think she does quite a bit, but she, I just did 2 conversations recently. One was with, a writer for Haaretz called Gideon Levy.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a laugh. Okay. Well, I just spoke with both of them back to back. It was actually an hour apart on. But I had a conversation with Jake Newfield, not Joshua. Jake Newfield. I had a conversation with both of them, and I run into the same issues where when I'm talking to the pro-Zionist, the crazy Zionist person, I come off as the most bleeding heart pro-Palestinian shill ever, because they're like, yeah, the Israelis just have wanted peace the whole time. They've never wanted anything. The Palestinians hated them just because they were Jews. There was no other reason. It was just anti-Semitism through and through, and it's just been this horrible, evil crusade against Jews the entire time. And then that was Einat. And then on Gideon's side, it was the Palestinians have absolutely no agency whatsoever. They're basically rape victims the entire time. The Jews just came here and through their racism have just murdered indiscriminately Arabs, and they wanted to. It's just both sides are so insane. Looking at the Iranian attack on Israel, I feel like it's a really big deal that you have people like Saudi Arabia and Jordan that are assisting with the interception of the missiles. There is, at least among leadership, there is a common united purpose. And in the population of Israel itself, you do have 2 million, Arabs or Palestinian Arabs, who are living basically peacefully inside that country. Not to say that it's totally devoid of crime or anything else, but there was no third intifada, there's no mass uprising, there's no mass crime, and the West Bank is more or less pretty chill as well. Although you have had since October 7th, your moments for sure. I wish that Israel could just capitalize on that more and show some kind of willingness to take a leadership role and saying hey, look, like we are all kind of like getting along together. I feel like, the MBS. I feel like Jordanian monarchy feels like the Arab leaders have taken more steps in asserting that, in affirming that, and it feels like Netanyahu and the Israeli government just hasn't taken as big of a step in saying, like, look at our partners, look at our allies, like, look at, I don't know, maybe I've missed it, but I wish that they could shore up, those differences more, because that Palestinian issue inside of Israel is just, it's a vector through which so much instability is caused, and I feel like it doesn't need to be that way, but,
Yeah, I really think they do that at their own peril in a way, because there's always an example that comes up when peace process debates, where people talk about the Arab Peace Initiative, 2002. There's like an example of an Arab offer from every Arab League nation, and the Palestinians saying that we're going to offer you this two-state solution outline, and if you just come to the table, that would be a really good gesture, and this will be the thing that Israel turns down famously, because Sharon just says it's a waste of time. He says it doesn't trust it. And I think even...
We had, Yossi Balin, I think we were chatting with, and he told, it was either he said it to you or he said it to me, where he said Sharon told him, I think in 2004, he was like, I would never ever trust an agreement from any Arab ever. I don't trust them.
They do that. They completely do that at their peril, though, because later on it did actually turn out that the Arab Peace Initiative, this is not a very well-known story, but actually before Olmert did his 2008 deal with Abbas, he did actually give a little bit of a signal towards that Arab Peace Initiative. They tried to set up meetings, but the problem was that the only conference or meeting that they had, I think maybe 2 or 3 people turned up, but they were all from states that had already made peace with Israel, and they couldn't even come with an Arab League mandate. They just came as individuals. So it kind of showed that this was really just maybe a bit of a troll, or just like something like an empty gesture, more like.
What the fuck is that?
The problem is that to the rest of the world, Israel doesn't know how to respond to olive branches that come from the Arab states. Just recently, there was that viral clip from a Jordanian foreign minister, I think it was foreign minister, who interrupted one of the other speeches at a conference to say that we are offering guarantees to Israel in exchange for a Palestinian state. We're offering to guarantee security, and Israel's only solution to any of these problems is just go there, destroy people, destroy the military, go there, destroy someone, just go there, destroy someone, just kill. And he gave this really powerful speech about that, and the Israelis could easily say the famous Menachem Begin quote. They could just say, I like guarantees, but I also need a guarantee that guarantees the guarantees. Jordan's not going to get Hamas or Hezbollah to stop firing, but the fact that there's not even any attempt to try to start something with willing Arab partners is just something that Israeli right-wingers have done since the last 20 years, and they do it completely at their peril. I think it's honestly actually Balin, I read him saying this, is that the problem is that for half of Israelis, whenever an Arab leader comes with any kind of olive branch, they don't know how to react to it. It's like they just think it has to be either a lie or it's sincere or something like that. Yeah, that's a big problem.
There's mandatory elections coming up soonish for Israel, right?
I think so. It's hard to tell because they've had so many elections in the space of 4 years.
Okay, maybe not. All right.
I don't know when the mandatory one is, yeah.
Internal politics for Iran, is that where you wanted to go next?
Yeah. So, the big question now, because Iran conducted this second strike in Israel that did actually cause a little bit of damage compared to the first one, Israel has vowed they're going to retaliate. I believe Yoav Gallant said that he would promise a lethal, precise, and especially surprising response. The Americans have been very vocal in saying, don't attack the nuclear sites. That attack hasn't happened yet. I think the Israelis are currently in Yom Kippur, or they're in some festival at this point, so it might not come anytime immediately, but it is expected. The last counterattack they did in Iran was very small. It was just a different attack. This time I think people are expecting something more, but there's this whole question that people might be asking is like, this might be Israel's big opportunity to get the Iranian nuclear. People are asking why they don't do that. There's a few reasons I actually uncovered looking into it, is that everyone seems to agree that Iran is enriching their nuclear capabilities, their uranium enrichment is happening at a higher scale than you would ever expect for legitimate civilian use. So we know that's happening. Apparently though, according to CIA Director Bill Burns, if they ever decide that they want to start to enrich enough material for weapons grade use, that would be picked up by Intel quite quickly, even if it only takes them about a week to do so, and it would still take them months to weaponize properly.
Yeah, so I would have to I'd have to go look this up again because my knowledge is pretty outdated, and maybe I misread something before, or just saying, low conviction take. But my understanding is that like there is no, you can't like enrich uranium in like your basement. You have to have these like really large centrifuges, like the infrastructure and the energy required and everything produced would like everybody in the world would see you doing it. You can't do this covertly.
Yeah, that's just for the enrichment. That's not even for the actual weaponization, which would take months. So everyone kind of understands that if they start moving towards proper weaponization, it would get picked up. And the consensus is that Israel and America would just immediately see that as casus belli, and they would just bomb. Okay, so that's the idea. So there's no point doing anything before that excuse is given. The problem is that it still doesn't really explain why why they're doing that, because some people in Iran will say that they're doing it as their own personal deterrent against strikes against them, but Iran has already, in the last year, they've attacked countries that have nuclear power weapons. Right? They've attacked Israel and Pakistan. So deterrent's not really a reason. The more difficult internal issue with Iran, which is actually a little bit scary, is the further radicalizing of the IRGC. So the IRGC is like, they control about half of the Iranian economy, around 200,000 members.
Just as a quick thing, so the IRGC is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is like I believe the foreign part of, it's like the foreign branch of the Iranian military, and I believe that the Iranian Guard Corps has allocated to it like official revenue streams that the government I don't believe can even touch. Like there are parts of like the revenue of that economy government that are guaranteed to go to funding the IRGC that the government doesn't even like have a hand in. So they're very independent, very much. That was that's the branch that Soleimani was the head of, that the United States assassinated a few years ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then more specifically, they have the IRGC Quds Force, which is the one that's devoted to all the attacks against Israel. That's where people like Soleimani are involved in. The problem with the IRGC, though, is that everyone knows that Iran struggles with disloyalty, that a lot of their citizens really dislike the regime. That's been the case for decades, and it's also actually been a problem within the IRGC. So in the 90s, when Iran has a presidential election, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, will give an endorsement. In the 90s, an entire second generation of IRGC members voted for someone else. So what the IRGC did in the 2000s was this very, very concerted effort to make the movement more explicitly ideological, like more committed to the Islamist cause. So they invested so much into education or indoctrination and radicalization programs, to the point that since the 2000s, I think 50% of training for the IRGC is just indoctrination. The problem is that that's also kind of backfiring now. So now the issue is that rather than being disloyal in a more moderate sense, the newer generation of IRGC members are the most radical ones there have been. More radical actually than the Ayatollah. So now the issue is that in one of the last presidential elections, the candidate endorsed by the supreme leader was rejected by a lot of IRGC youth, but for someone more radical. To the point that the older IRGC guard actually had to start backing someone who was seen as more of a kind of like parliamentarian reformist. So the issue now is that their efforts to pull the IRGC in line is backfiring and producing a much more radical youth wing of the movement that even the older members don't really feel comfortable with. And these IRGC members are great if you want to suppress protests and open fire on demonstrators, as they've done in 2019, they've done in 2022, 23. But it's not good if you're trying to contain yourself from a regional conflict, from escalating a regional conflict. And a lot of these young IRGC radicals believe that the regime is just not responding to Israel in the way that they should because they're scared. So whilst people in America might be hoping for regime change from popular, democratic, secular public, there is also the other issue, which means that the other revolution that could happen in Iran is radical extremist hardline push from the youth. And given that Iran has successfully quelled popular dissent for the last couple of decades,
what do they do?
I feel like the young radical element is scratched. The rules changed.
Yeah, I'm not even. I didn't hear no bell. Yeah, Jesus. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go stream soon. I love you. Stay safe. Be careful, buddy.
Oh, what? I meant to ask you. For next week, is anyone else?
You didn't love Mary anyway.
What? Hey, wait.
He's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying.
In Silent Hill 2, Laura is dead, and let me tell you why. Going over some dialogue between Laura and James in the Lakeview Hotel scene, we learn Laura spent a lot of time with Mary in a palliative care unit. If you're not familiar with what palliative care is, in simple words, it's a special sort of care given to patients with terminal illness who don't have much time left. The nurses and doctors in the palliative care are trained in a way to be delicate and understanding to the patients, as the illness they suffer from tends to impact their mind and personality, making them become better, lack self-control, and so much more. It truly is a difficult place to be, and unfortunately, many family members tend to find it impossible to spend time with their loved ones, as it becomes extremely difficult.
What do you want to do?
Hey, bear enemy? Hello.
What are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone already. I'm just trying to hope you guys there anyway. It's easier if you're just looking. But I guess the hospital's making a nice profit on me. Why are you still here? I told you to go. Are you dead? Don't come back. Wait. Don't go. Don't leave me. I didn't mean what I said. Please. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not gonna die. Help me.
So this sort of job is not cut out for everyone, and that is something that we see happen to James. So this sort of job is not cut out for everyone, and the trained healthcare professionals need to be well trained for it. My question is, how Laura, who we find in the surreal world of Silent Hill, found her way in the palliative care unit and befriended Mary. The very first thing that pops in one's mind is that Laura was most likely a patient herself who met Mary in the same unit. Another idea is Laura could be there as one of her loved ones was admitted to the palliative care unit, like her mother. But that wouldn't make much sense, as through the dialogue and the letter that she reads, we learn that she spent almost as long as Mary spent time in the palliative care unit. Mary also befriended her to the point of feeling that she could be her daughter. Mary would of course not feel that way if Laura had a mother right there, and Laura wouldn't be spending so much time in the palliative unit, as she would have school or other things to do. At most, she would spend several hours a week there to see her mother, if it was the mother who was admitted to the palliative care unit.
My dearest Laura, I'm leaving this letter with Rachel to give to you after I'm gone. I'm far away now. Quiet, beautiful place. Please forgive me for not saying goodbye before I left. Be well, Laura. Don't be too hard on sisters. And Laura, about James. I know you hate him, but just you think he's nice to me. Please, give him a chance. It's true, he can be a little surly sometimes, and he doesn't laugh much. But underneath, he's a really sweet person. I love you, Laura.
she really be here? Is this the quiet, beautiful place she was talking about?
Mary talked a lot about silent health. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. She also talked a lot about you know? She...
So according to all of this, if Laura was admitted as a patient in the palliative care unit, that means that she was suffering from a terminal illness, which means that she didn't have much time to live. Also, if Mary felt so much as being her mother, it might suggest that maybe she was an orphan, or maybe her mother didn't visit her as often, which Mary took pity on her and felt bad for her, maybe even empathized with her as James wasn't visiting her so much either. And I put a pin in that idea. We'll get back to it later in the video. Now let's go over how and why Laura would be in Silent Hill, observing it as a surreal place it is meant to be, manifesting whatever the visitor has in their mind. For Laura, Silent Hill is not a nightmarish hellhole with monsters crawling all over the place. In fact, it is so nice that she is often seen drawing all over the place and even being shocked to why a grown person like James is there.
What's a little girl like you doing there anyway?
Dunno. What's a big dum-dum like you doing here anyway?
That sounds as if she is seeing a large playground meant for kids. The reason she goes to Silent Hill is because she is looking for Mary, and she knew from their conversation Mary's favorite place was Silent Hill, and she always wanted to revisit. She even tells Laura that she will go there again, but as we know, Mary is dead, and only her soul will be able to travel to this place. My thought in here is Mary never returned to the palliative unit, and Laura was concerned about her, so she chose to go to Silent Hill and find her, assuming that she has gone there. But that is also because maybe she was very alone in the unit, only having two nurses take care of her, further proving that maybe Laura was all alone, not having a mother. But Laura, someone with terminal illness, would never look this healthy and would not be able to leave the hospital and go to Silent Hill on her own. How did she even manage going there? Not being able to drive, with the tunnel even being closed down, and in general, not being an easy place to go to. Also, would she not have parents to worry about her and prevent her from leaving on her own? She could not travel to this place if she was healthy, let alone being observed and monitored in a palliative unit in a hospital. It all sounds too unrealistic for a young little girl who was admitted in a palliative care unit to go to a place to look for an adult woman she befriended in her care unit. Laura, being an innocent girl, sees Silent Hill through an innocent perspective with not so much baggage. She only has beauty and playfulness in her mind, and hence she sees the place as a playground. We also see how she keeps running away from James, and in general not liking him so much. It seems as if he is the only monster that she sees in this place. Based on whatever was discussed between her and Mary, she somehow built an image of James not being a good person. So, it is possible Silent Hill transformed him and made him look like a monster, deserving punishment, and Laura saw
48 here on
so
Elden.
now, towards the end, James becomes more likable.
Obviously
to the
over
point
here,
that Laura trusts him.
big
Because
like
after
trim
he is
thingy.
reminded
Anyway,
how he
head on
killed
over
her,
here, and once
how
you
he
guys get to
killed
this
Mary,
location here, you're gonna
and
see a
that
bunch of
he is
enemies
the
at the
most
bottom. Once you get close by, you're gonna keep
willing
hearing hello
what he
there or
can
something
to
like
save
that,
her.
and you're gonna come up on top of this thing, and this dude's name is Ken.
That might have redeemed him in the perspective of Laura. So according to everything discussed, all the scenes and the information we are given, in a summary, it is very unlikely for a little girl to be able to travel to Silent Hill on her own. She sees that the town is empty and barren, even though she sees it as a playground. So how would she be able to get there with no public transport, no one to ask around, and a challenging and difficult journey to get there? Her family would definitely not give her permission to travel to a town on her own to find an adult person. According to what we learned, being in the hospital, being under the observation and care of nurses, they would definitely not leave her unsupervised and not let her go anywhere or out of the hospital. And finally, she would not look so healthy and energetic for someone suffering from terminal illness. Now let's go over what happened to Mary and James and how they are connected to Laura. In my previous video explaining all the endings, I admittedly made the mistake thinking Mary had died 3 years ago, which, thanks to your comments, I did more research and learned the truth. It seems Mary did in fact go home after the advice of her nurses to reunite with James in her last days. But James, being overtaken by pain and suffering, blamed his wife, Mary, for all of it, wants to put an end to his never-ending nightmare, smothering her to death with a pillow. It's only after she is dead when he comes to his senses to what a monstrous thing he had done, killing the most important thing in his life, which causes him to snap, with his mind repressing this unforgivable and traumatic action. James all of a sudden has a mental shutdown, thinking his wife died 3 years ago when her illness started showing, when she was diagnosed. What he does next is very tragic and honestly difficult to talk about, even though it is just a video game. He takes the lifeless body of his wife, Mary, places her gently in the back of his car, and travels to the place where she said that she wants to revisit again, being her favorite, Silent Hill. James takes his wedding ring off, but as we can see, the mark is still visible, confirming that he just recently took it off. To James, he goes down a rabbit hole of delusion, forgetting he ever killed his own wife, thinking the cancer took her life 3 years ago, and she is not in the back of his car. This action was too tragic and difficult for James to admit and take responsibility for, so instead, he took the easy way of completely shutting down and forgetting about it. Instead of thinking he willingly and intentionally came here himself, he thinks that Mary sent him a letter instructing him to go there where she is waiting for him. Keep in mind, this is all a figment of his imagination. There is no letter, and Mary, of course, is dead, lying motionlessly in the back of his car. This is by far very traumatic and scary, to how his mind tries to protect and shelter him, yet completely failing him. Silent Hill, alongside his troubled mind, then manifests the hell and nightmare Silent Hill is, with all the monsters being representation of James' guilt, pain, trauma, and suffering. So, how is this all related to Laura? Well, what's interesting is that Laura somehow finds herself in Silent Hill right after Mary dies. It's as if she was telepathically connected to her. As soon as Mary dies, Laura goes to Silent Hill to look for her, as if her ghost was made aware that Mary is free from her body now, and she might be in Silent Hill. The surreal nature of Silent Hill allows James and other visitors to see Laura and communicate with her. This yet again suggests that Laura is dead, as how would she instantly know Mary is dead? What's more interesting is that she gets a feeling Mary is here, desperately trying to look for her, but failing to find her. It turns out Mary is in fact here in Silent Hill, but not in the hotel or the beautiful forest nature of Silent Hill. Instead, she is at the back of James' car, being very dead. So Laura is not wrong thinking Mary is here and traveling to Silent Hill. She just simply doesn't know exactly where. Also in the letter Mary wrote for Laura, she wishes her a happy birthday, a letter written a few weeks ago before she goes to reunite with James at home. Laura says that she is 8 now, which means she possibly died before turning 8 years old. Finally, we can easily confirm James has the ability to see dead people and even communicate with them. Nothing. Making his communications with Laura impossible. As in one of the endings, Stillness, we see the ghost of Mary appearing from the back of the car and comforting James to move on and be happy.
What's wrong, honey?
This is a tougher bear.
Will you wait for me?
Whoa.
James. I've always been waiting for you.
Ultra bear.
It's very impossible for Laura to be a ghost, and for James to easily communicate with her, given the surreal nature of silence and the connection that they have to each other. This is a video that I wanted to make for a few days now, and now was finally the time.
Oh shit!
Thoughts about this video?
Bear hug.
Tell me your
Bear hug.
comments. As always,
I was just trying out the area, man. Don't need to kill me.
that's when you're sad, and I will see what next. Have a fantastic day.
Welcome to the memory. Oh yeah. Yesterday was actually looking at you. I always look at YouTube channel because they're delusional.
Come on, let's get the souls back.
I haven't been on this computer forever. Do you ever notice that, like, I feel like in Windows, I feel like I turn off my monitor. Like, I never, ever in my entire life want Windows to play sound on my monitors. But for some reason, even when I remove this device, it will, like, re-enable itself and come back. I don't know why. So,
I wanted to do something. I fucking forgot.
Windows every now and then would just, like, default all your I'm actually going to vomit because I know firsthand that Milo doesn't drink enough water or eat any vegetables and has Atari black duty.
Oh shit.
Jesus. Why? Why would you cut the video right before it hits the car?
So you're a baby bear? Let's go to the castle first. Let's do the main reason we're here before exploring the world. Gotta get stronger. What the fuck? Stay still, fucking squirrel. That fuck.
Okay. Gotcha. Doing spaces with peace thing? Assuming yes.
Oh, it auto updates. Nice.
What is this? Do I need to start the space? Question. This one is a bit long, so sorry in advance. Oh, this is an update. Am I the asshole to my ex-boyfriend's friend texting me after the breakup? Ended my relationship with my fiance last month, and now his friend is texting me. He's not saying anything bad, but it feels odd because we were never really friends. He's in the same D&D group with my ex, so whenever game night we were at our place, we would see each other. My ex was there for all of our conversations. We were never flirty, and we were usually pretty short. His friend caps are below, so he was there for himself, but I'm nervous that he's trying to ask me out or something. I know my ex would be pissed, even though I'm not interested in this guy at all. They aren't super close with each other, but they have been in the same D&D group since 2016, and do game nights together almost every week. And damn, they're not close at all? Holy shit. In one of his texts, he asks me to call him when I got home. I never told him I went out, so I assume he said on my Instagram, but he doesn't follow me. To be fair, he was never flirted with me before, so I know if he's seeing something that isn't there, but it just seems so odd. I don't know any thoughts. Melissa, I heard about you in blank. You all good? This is a date me text, just so you know. If you're a girl, at least, if guys are DMing you and you're single afterwards, or sometimes you are not single, if they DM you afterwards and they say like, hey, I heard this, especially if you don't talk too much, it's like, hey, how you doing? It's because they're trying to shoot their shot. I'm doing well, thank you for asking. Not to be rude, but I don't have your number on my phone. Who is this? It's cool, this is blank. You forgot me already, damn. Laughing face. Hey, I forgive you for leaving me on read. What are you up to right now? Hey girl, I need to talk to you when you get oof. Okay, so she's not interested, he's still texting. Hey girl, I need to talk to you when you get a chance. I hope things aren't awkward after breakup. Hey, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you. I just said HD, LOL. It's not really awkward, but it's a little unexpected. What? Why unexpected? I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but is something wrong? Not being rude, we just never really texted before. True, but you were with Blank before. He wouldn't play like that. You said you wanted to talk to me. Is everything okay? Oh, this girl is mega autism. Jesus. Yes, everything's good. Don't be scared. I'm trying to catch up with you. We used to hang out all together and send you around. Damn, why I gotta be something wrong? You said you needed to talk. What did you want to talk about? Question mark. I've just been thinking about you. Call me when you get home. I do want to talk for real. I just didn't want to tell you. Call me for real. But the guy is also... Are these people like 16? Wait, how old are these people? Jesus. Okay, the guy is really desperate and not taking a hint. The girl is autistic as fuck. Okay, am I overreacting? How did she overreact? What, she just didn't... That dude is thirsty as fuck. How old are these people?
Let's fight these out, gentlemen. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Okay, update. This one is a bit long, so sorry in advance. Also, I may have really overreacted here. He was being so rude and entitled, and I couldn't stand it. I really tried my best to not lose my temper, but he crossed a serious line with me, and I flipped out a little. I said some things that were kind of mean. I feel bad about it, but in the moment, I was so heated, and I felt like he went too far with me. Also, I can't prove any of the private number calls about him, but I suddenly started getting them the last few days, when this wasn't happening before. I told him his number right after, so I was to him, Jesus, this guy is insane. I noticed that women never get called out when they act autistic. You notice that? Nobody said anything there. Well, I just not going to say that you were autistic, but the guy is also pretty thirsty and shameless, but okay. Let's see. Can't talk right now, I'm at work. What's going on? Obviously nothing is going on. Jesus. Can't we talk about it instead of text? I don't know how to ask you this tactfully, but it seems like you've been hitting on me. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yeah, you think? I'm not trying to make assumptions, but if that's what it is, I would prefer you just tell me. If I'm wrong, and I'm sorry for assuming, but it feels like that's what it is. If I am, would that be alright? I wasn't going to try anything until I heard you started seeing someone new so soon. I'm not judging you, I'm just saying because I know you and him were having problems for a while. I knew you would bounce back. Quick, lol, blank fucked up. Letting you get away, and I'm not trying to make the same mistake for real. I've had feelings for a while, but I didn't nail any moves out of respect. In real, I always thought you were too good for blank, especially after you got into all that other shit. If you knew guys just to rebound at their own thing, then I'd fuck with it, but you're actually back out there. If now isn't the right time for us, I respect that too. I have to shoot my shot either way, or I might regret it later. All my cards on the table, so let me know. Like, the guy needs to... There's something necessarily...
Hello, Margit. Not scared of you anymore.
Right? Like, shit, well, that was like obvious in the last 5 months. Girl, don't think you handle this. Anxiety and trade right now. I need a second to think about what I want to say. Jesus, now that's not a very good sign. Okay, there are 2 things that I don't understand. One, what do you mean? You heard I was starting to see new people. Who did you do that from? Is it the same person who gave me my number? Okay, she's... Oh my god. This is the most autistic girl in the world. 2, did you tell Blank you moved out? Blank said she hooked you up with her cousin. I know how it works with me and Blank, but like that's real. I fucked with him because the answers have never done all that. I don't have any to tell him about it. You're single now. Respectfully, I think it would be expensive to stop without you doing this. If I can be even more honest, I think you know already. You're my friend for weeks, for years. I don't know how he would feel on you, but this is so green and laughing, just for you to turn around and
Hey!
maybe not that close to him.
Chill, man.
You're saying you got in there pretty fast, but loyalty to make that thing you're really saying. Seriously, don't be mad. I'm just saying. Firstly, it's not that it's any of your business. I have no problem with it. I know what you're doing. So it's key. My only regret.
Just keep giving him the whiff punish.
This is not going to honestly, you're saying you don't fuck with him like that, but saying you're not, but fooled me. Because I don't know shit. What do you mean? We're cool. But it's not like that. Is all I'm trying to tell you. Why do you care that you don't know? I don't see the difference from what you've been doing with that man calling with the motherfucker like I do with whatever you start seeing some trees and shit. Holy shit. These people are fucking retarded. Girls want to avoid rejecting guys so bad they will high ground morality. No. This isn't about the girl not wanting to tell him off or not, but whatever. She's just mega autistic. Taking notes on how to reply to houses like when you destroy things. Why even waste your time responding? Holy shit.
Too far, bitch. Come on.
understand being salty. Like, let's say that you have a significant other and they either bullying you or they like try to kill your dog or some shit, and you broke up with them and then try to start dating them. I think that would be kind of crazy. I can understand them being upset about that. Or if somebody were they like broke up with you, you were like mega obsessed with them still, and then started dating them, that would probably end the friendship, which I can understand.
Now, can I beat him alone? I should be. This boss was made to be defeated alone. I feel like he is stronger
It's just the
because I
thought
have a
that girls
summon.
praying for your downfall to capitalize. I mean, I don't know. I think that's acceptable. Like I would hope that people who date some people around who also want to date. It's just like weird. Like what like, I don't know.
Let's try it without a summon. I can do it. Just dodgy. Dodge.
Like somebody's gonna end up dating her or him. Like who cares?
Motherfucker.
There are limits though. No, I mean if your friend and ex got together like a week after the breakup, I think it would depend on the type of breakup. Like if it's like a mutual breakup, it also probably depends on how the breakup went. And like how long you were dating. I think that's very So is the girl on the right or is nobody right? I mean nobody's on the right or wrong. They're just both like the guy is like mentally hard, the girl is like ultra autistic. Like nobody's like right or wrong. Nothing like that. Request. Invite. Oh. Cool. Please. Hi. Are you a co-host, Kista?
Now avoid using summons. Summons are gay. Should be able to defeat them without the summons.
None of my friends would ever think about getting with one of my exes. You just don't do it. I don't know, bro. I think that like 80% of like male dating and sex is like based around men's rampant insecurities. That just sounds fucking retarded to me. But I mean, I understand I'm in the minority there. But the idea of like this, I dated her, she's fine, no one else in my group could ever fucking get her. It just sounds fucking retarded to me. But I don't know. I feel like it comes from possessiveness / insecurity. I think it stems from insecurity. Because what happens is if a friend in your group starts dating your ex, you feel like your ex thinks that the guy is better than you. That's where it all stems from. It's because you feel like you were dating them, now you're no longer dating them, now they're dating somebody else. And especially for insecure men, the number one source of confidence and affirmation in your life is a woman. So now she dates someone else, why it's like just I don't think. Peace guys, hello. Can you hear me? I invited you to be co-host. You motherfucker. Invite co-hosts. Peace guys. You don't think it would be awkward to meet up with friends and see your ex with the other guy? I think it would depend on the relationship. Like if the relationship ended on really bad terms, then yeah, I think it would be awkward. That would make sense. But if you guys just like broke up, whatever you break up, you probably accept a little bit, and then like if they start dating, why? What did you ever run? I'm curious. For people that have for men with this mindset, when you walk into a room. And you see your ex, are you just like, is it on pins and needles? Are you just like in fucking battle mode? Are you like losing your fucking mind? Or
I could do
Dating your
it.
friend's
Come
ex is
on.
widely accepted as snake behavior. I don't care what this chat says. I swear, you let partners need to touch grass. Sorry, Chief. The reality is, the reason why people talk about the bro code so much is because nobody fucking follows it. So you are dead fucking wrong. In the real world, guys fuck each other's exes and people in the group all the fucking time. That's why guys always say shit like, bro code, bro code, bro code, bro code. You better fucking believe that shit happens. If you think you have a friend and he's like super fixated on some chick that you just broke up with and you think, oh no, like he'll be loyal to you or whatever, unless you guys are like siblings, okay, or you are like blood brothers, okay, or something, you better believe that your friend is dicking down that girl ASAP. But, you know.
Yo. But now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you not getting my co-host thing?
I did before, but you didn't hear me before, but now you can hear me.
Well, but I just geared to the speaker now.
Yeah, try making me a co-host and see if this will work.
Well, now when I search for, I don't even see you. Do you like code for it?
Go to manage space next to the mute button.
Are you
Fucking
sure you don't already
do
have
it.
I'm sure. Yeah, go to manage.
I'm going out in my own
space.
I don't
time.
know what manage space is.
Next to the mute button. See your mute button? Next to
Oh,
manage
okay.
space.
Manage space. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm here. I was here before, yeah.
And then click me and make me thing.
I click you, it takes me to your profile.
Alright, well, you followed me.
Am I what?
I'm not just joking, but just find a way. Find a way, I don't know.
How do you feel about
Significantly tough.
fuck, why are you I'm not dating? If all four of my exes came in a room and all four of them were dating like Dan and whatever, why the fuck do I care? I think they're generally, my exes are pretty cool people. I think my friends are cool people. They date each other and it'd be cool. Fuck it, I don't know. I like most of my exes. I like most of them. Like, why? We all hang out. Okay. I am clicking, manage, space, invite co-hosts. At Pisco. You don't even show up. At Pisco what?
Liddy.
What? You don't even show up.
Doesn't make any sense.
I really need to avoid dodging early.
Pisco.
Yeah, see?
Did I
That's the stem of my issue.
You didn't like block me or something, right?
No, you never do that shit.
You feel like you want broken up with, right?
I'm gonna leave and come back and have a work.
No,
Didn't I
I'm gonna
say that
make
like
the
20
game
times?
as
You guys
easy
don't
for
listen
me
to
as
anything I
possible. No
say.
need to put
Oh,
some
yeah, get the
stupid
fuck out and come
rules.
back. Oh, invite co-hosts. Pisco. Like his name doesn't even show up. What if I just refresh this whole page? Did I just leave my space? Did the space just close? The one who that's their friend, do you think they have an issue like guys? Yeah, I think there's a similar issue.
Nice, but fuck, man. No damage.
Your suggestions, if you want to, but when you're done with someone, this time remove those stupid roles. Okay. Could it just be that since you're poly, you don't have the same emotional feedback a normal person would get? I like how you guys always run to the immediate, like, I don't actually, you know what, fuck it. We did this before with the housing thing, where we talked about the housing thing for like 2 hours, and you guys thinking my argument's ridiculous, I have no emotional point of view, I couldn't understand the feelings of whatever bullshit. And then when I revealed it was about the, if renting a house have more liability, if they get fired for their job, they might lose their shit. And it was like, well, that never happens, like, you don't know the experience. And then when I revealed in the conversation, you should know if you know my backstory. He got kicked out of our house when we were 13. My parents quit their job doing daycare, and then we got foreclosed on almost immediately because my parents pulled the from home. Then all of China immediately changed to, oh, you're too emotionally invested in this, you can't have a good opinion. So, no, you're fucking retarded. Fuck you.
invest in vigor.
Oh,
I think that's it. Yep.
right or wrong, it's unusual not to care. It would bother me massively, but I can't really explain why. I can tell you why. The reason why is most guys that are hearing this are considering that the only possibility that could happen is they're the ones getting dumped. And that if they get dumped by a girl, and then they're lonely and they're sad and they have no other girl to talk to and no other options, and then their girl starts dating a friend of theirs, then it makes them a fucking clear. So that's why. That's the perspective that probably most of you are coming from. So, and I understand that. That makes sense why you'd be super hurt in that case, because you're the one that got ditched, and then you don't have anybody else to date, so you're just sitting there stewing, and then now your ex is dating a friend or whatever, and now it feels like you, it's just like very,
Do not preemptively dodge. Do not preemptively dodge.
We're ending this space, I'm sorry.
Do not preemptively dodge. Just wait for the fucking signal, man.
Bro, how does Jesse never understand this is betrayal? This how? What do you mean betrayal? What is the betrayal? What, that they didn't recognize the deed that you had for permanent ownership of your ex's dating life? It's fucking retarded. Create a space. Who can speak? Only people who like to speak. Why is Destiny offended by being called monogamous? That's just an accurate description, not a criticism. We can already explain the monogamy pretty well. I understand the emotional understandings of people that have monogamous feelings. The problem is that when you guys are polyamorous feelings or open feelings, you guys are fucking
Oh, seriously, my ass stop.
dragging this shit fuck morons, right? Like, oh, you're polyamorous? Is that something you like enjoy, like shoving glass noodles into your fucking cock and like smashing your dick into pieces because you like to say fucking weird? Like, have you ever like tried to drink like shitty toilet water like straight from a fucking public bathroom because you're like polyamorous? Like, no, that means like you're like these are actually fucking retarded.
I hate that fucking cover. What? That's a new one. Hindi ko alam bakit hindi na ako naiinis sa kanya. Dati kapag naglalaro ako Dark Souls, so hard. It doesn't really affect me anymore.
Offensive right now. Yes, you are. When you type things like, he just doesn't understand. This is totally normal. Fucking, he just fucking doesn't get it. It's because he's fucking love. Yes, that is really offensive. Honest question.
Give me a sec.
I love my friends. I love you so much. In co-hosts. Oh, they're showing up. Pisco. Pisco, you're never allowed to. You're just not. I don't understand what's happening. Why doesn't he show up here? Show up here. Join the new space. I don't really care, but I think people who do care about a friend dating their ex and not some random person because it's seen as respectful or just look for romantic opportunities elsewhere, it's an affront just because it's commonly seen like that. Cool. Okay, thank you. That's a circular reason. Fuck. I have to debate all of his stuff. I need his court case stuff. specifics. I need like every piece of footage and everything about this guy. It is another long intro debate. I argued it down to 7 minutes, I think. To be honest, though, I'm not actually opposed to long intro debates, as long as I know in advance that I can compose my own, because I think I've got a lot to write about, and a lot to speak about, given the opportunity to write something at a time, so I'm okay with that. I have a connector with Rashid Khalidi. Do you want to chat with him? Not. No, I don't. After the election. Oh, and then I'm doing that Jubilee 1v25 thing, which is why this first race is really good. You can see all these points that I'm going to need for Republicans. Was he the guy that did the verse 25? Because I imagine it's probably pretty similar to what we brought up, right? That's all of it. All I heard was birth adjudication, disrupting house hearing, the only reason why arresting music was his conduct for agreement that he would not be in the premises, and he should have been on probation by then, and never told his function and served his probation.
Thank you, Sorcerer Jabubi. You're dead. Great enemy.
What are the Jubilee topics? I have them tomorrow. I'll bring them.
Let's get some vitality up in here. Yep, that's my main issue. I don't think I need to. Yep.
Savage Facts 61. What's this? Last video, October 30th, 2020.
So if someone comes up to your car with a gun, what would you do? Dude, it's Texas, you fucking moron. Everybody has a gun in Texas. You're a fucking idiot. And I'm a fucking Marxist, you fucking dipshit. And I'm
A Marxist?
Why are you calling them out? That's what that's about. You literally are. Okay? Just relax for a second, bro.
Don't ever, do not ever, okay? Don't ever forget to remind Texans, especially, okay? When we talk about the South in the United States, we're talking about like how far north would you go? How far north would you go in here? The only place I was in Virginia was in West Virginia. We're not included. We'll say we'll do this. I'll do that. We'll say this, okay? This and then like I don't know fuck all about. You know what? Not even that. We're not even doing that. This is the South in the US of A, okay? Right here, basically. Right here. This is it. This is the South, okay? When people in Texas that live in fucking Houston and Dallas and Austin are like, oh, no, we're in the South. Everybody has a gun. More people in
fucking Portland, okay? These people are not in the South, okay? No more so than fucking Miami is East Coast, okay? It might sound that way, and it might look that way, deceptively, because the word is the South, okay? They're not. These places are not the South, okay? In Florida, you can have Jacksonville, which is the South, maybe, okay? Nobody goes to Tampa or Orlando or fucking Miami or the Keys. Like, oh, I'm in the South, bro. Fuck Texas. Just kidding.
I trusted them.
I don't actually know how big the city is. It's like the only other airport. I got flown into like Houston, Dallas, Houston, DFW, Austin, and San. Are the only 4 airports I think I've ever flown. I don't actually know how big of a city. I guess Dallas, Austin, DFW, Austin, Houston. Good enough. Those.
I haven't really tried this other side. Let's try it.
Arrived here about 6:30 in downtown Austin, Texas. And this is the Texas State Capitol, which, by the way, is closed down. Why? Well, because there have been peaceful riots in Austin, Texas. Look at what they have to do. Who did the cops kill? Name one the cops killed. Garrett Foster, you fucking asshole. Kill him. Garrett Foster was not killed by the cops. Fuck. So you're just ignorant. No. Yeah, you are.
You have a right to have a different opinion. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. I do have a different opinion.
Yeah.
But you know the cops didn't kill Garrett
No,
Foster.
I know he did not kill Garrett Foster, the, what's his name? Lieutenant of, sorry.
And he got,
I have to. Is this actually true? Okay, I'm totally sure. I will do more research. I heard there's some fucking state. Where is this? Is this in Georgia? Where apparently, there's some old law in the books where like you have a right to challenge people's vote certification. Like if you think that somebody or vote registration, well you can say I actually don't agree. I don't think that guy's a real fucking Georgian citizen or whatever. You can take them to like a hearing to challenge them to prove their Georgianity or whatever. Is this real? Wait, is that Jackson?
We are here today on Section 249 challenge filed by the Airport of Jennifer Pickett. She submitted the challenge on September 19th, 2024, which consisted of Excel spreadsheets between 16 and 59 electorals in Bryan County. So this is not. It appears that spreadsheet was on data working with data finding website.
Can I just say, hold on. I just want to appreciate I need to appreciate the okay? Now, you would say that, oh yeah, Sabordi just got it. On one hand, we're getting raped in our right ear, okay? Okay, that's fine. But at the very least, the white noise that's fucked up, for some reason that's in stereo. Why and how? What is, I want to know the upload chain where somehow we only get one channel of actual audio, but we have white noise in both. How is it even possible? Why? Like, what's happening here?
So we asked her to submit an updated spreadsheet, which she did after hours on the 19th. OCD 41-2-249 statute that we are operating, that the Georgia state law. What that Georgia state law does is allow any elector which is elected to vote in Bryan County to challenge any other elector which is
conservative argument is, well, of course they vote blue because they're all immigrants that live there. But then the question would be, well, wait, then who's actually being bothered by the immigration? Is it the people right past them? Are they voting red? There's still a decent chunk of blue voters in the US, even on these, like, but I get maybe there's people who wants to bring it out. I have to actually but if you were in a blue country and you knew you were going to fuck shit up, wouldn't you want to prevent more illegal immigrants from coming in because they'd be fucking shit up? Wouldn't they be your most red voters? Like if you were a thief and you were sneaking into a bank, the first thing you do is like not let another thief come in behind you and steal half your shit that you're stealing, right?
Oh.
Did you pull in a law where they automatically register as Democrats if they assume one dog undergoing a trans surgery? That's not a loop. That's the law working as intended. What do we want to do? We got some time left. Let's just do our dailies. We haven't done dailies in a long. We missed a lot of information.
Even local Republicans said it knew it wasn't true. Even local Republicans said it was not true. And now the people of Florida are dealing with another devastating storm. And I want you to watch what happens over the next few days, just like the last one. You're going to have leaders who try to help, and then they're... You have a guy who can just fire at those political points, and this has consequences. Because people are afraid, they've lost everything, and now they're trying to figure out, how do I apply for help? And some of them may be discouraged getting the help that they need. The idea of intentionally trying to deceive people in their most desperate and vulnerable moments.
This is true in so many different ways. Not that it's a medication, fucking merry-go-round or whatever, but hearing so many stupid and horrible and retarded fucking things. This is why I hate all the fucking all this stupid shit about like ADHD medication, and it's just like a whatever video game and this bullshit. Yeah, it kept me off that shit probably way longer than it should have.
Dark Souls 3 are gonna get me far away.
Oh, this is not. Does anybody have a link to the guy who was complaining that his father-in-law called into, or like didn't know how to get help from FEMA? That shit was wild. Somebody find me that.
And my question is, when did that become okay? I'm not looking for applause right now. I want to ask Republicans out there. You know, people who are conservative, who didn't vote for me, who didn't agree with me. I have friends who disagreed with me on every issue. When did that become okay? Why would we go along with that?
You can't do. Oh man. I had a nurse that. Well, she was a friend, and we started chatting politics. I don't know if I spoke about it in the stream. It challenged a position I had. One of the things that I've said, I think I might have talked about this a little bit. I had a position that you should never really be turning people down for medical assistance because it's impossible to draw any line there. Because as soon as you draw a line, you're fucked, right? Well, you shouldn't get help for your lung cancer, or at least not public health, because you smoked your whole life. Why do you fucking deserve it, right? Because the issue is that initially it's about like vaccines. You're unvaccinated, you got COVID, well, you die. Fuck you. You're wasting our resources. But it's like, okay, what about like you have lung cancer and you smoke? Well, fuck you. Well, what about you got lung cancer but you smoked half your life, or maybe you had a lot of secondhand smoke? Okay, maybe secondhand smoke. Maybe those people get it. If you smoke and you quit 20 risk factor, but it's not like it's impossible once you start trying to draw. And you can't draw a line length anywhere. It becomes almost impossible to do so. And she started messaging me, and she said that one of the things that kind of radically changed her mind. She said, "I have radically changed her mind on this." I don't even know if she knew it. She said an issue she had is sometimes there were druggies that would abuse the hospital system, and not only would they abuse it, as in they would constantly overdose, they would go out, they do more drugs, and then OD again. So not only would they abuse it, which is one thing, but they would also be just the most belligerent patients. That they would be in the hospital, they would be like, pinching nurses' asses or spanking people or just being an asshole or being rough to deal with or whatever. And then they would be, they'd be given food, they'd be medicated, they'd be sent out. And that she worked in Southern California, and her issue is that like there are people that need access to hospital beds, that there's a shortage of nurses, especially at that time. And she said it was really frustrating seeing these types of people come in over and over and over again. And I don't know if she set up to like if it was her choice, she'd have EMS just leave them on the street, let them die. Like give this to somebody that's worth it, who actually needs the or she needs the resources. I don't think that I'm not at the point where we should really do this. But if you're on Twitter all day saying that FEMA is fake, the hurricanes made by the government, they're the aid workers are showing up and blocking you from helping people and all that, right? Let's say that at some point then a natural disaster does hit. Should you get any aid money? And your governor, or you're not your governor, and your lawmakers all voted it down. Should you? I don't know. Maybe. You probably. I mean, you should. I don't think there's enough to say you shouldn't at this point. But geez, that it's like the boat trying to sail with a bunch of anchors attached, and it's like, holy fuck.
I mean, if your coworkers acted like that, they wouldn't be your coworkers very long. If you're in business and somebody you're doing business with just outright lies and manipulates, you stop doing business with them. Even if you had a family member who acted like that, you might still love them, but you tell them you've got a problem, and you wouldn't put them in charge of anything. And yet, when Donald Trump lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution, when he calls POWs losers or fellow citizens vermin, people make excuses for it.
I don't even know if I tweeted about this. I'm so scared of anything that might be fake.
Meanwhile, a North Carolina man is blaming former President Trump for his father-in-law's refusal to get help from FEMA. A man identifying himself as Anthony called into the Dan Abrams show on Sirius XM, saying his father-in-law in Asheville only believes the former president, and it is actually breaking up our family.
My father-in-law was a football player last in North Carolina. He was badly damaged by Hurricane Helene. And he has refused all FEMA help because he's a hardcore Trumper.
Nope.
He literally believes that if he accepts anything from FEMA, they're going to take it out. I don't know.
That's a $750 meme. I've been out of the loop. So that's just reference. Did I tweet this, or was Pisco tweeting about it? There was a rumor going around on X that apparently FEMA can give you money as a loan if your insurance hasn't paid out yet, but when your insurance pays out, you have to give it back. That's what it has to do with, basically getting an advance from the insurance via FEMA. But there were rumors going around on X that all the money FEMA gives, you have to pay back, and that if you don't, they might take your house. This is bullshit. It's a fucking lie. It's a lie that was getting popular on X during the hurricane stuff.
I don't understand how so many people are under the spell of this sleeping concept.
Wait, hold on a second. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you remember something that you asked me this morning? We were filming our offline thing.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Do you want to refresh my memory?
It was about Millie calling Trump a fascist.
Yeah. Oh, about what your mom would say.
And I
Yeah.
texted her.
Yeah.
There you go. What'd I say?
Oh my god.
It's impenetrable. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Alright. I just want to show you that. Okay, fine.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy. Bye.
I think he asked me when we recorded all the offline news segments this morning. I brought up the Millie calling Trump a fascist, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like what do Trump supporters say?" I was like, "Oh no, they'll make excuses for it." And I was like, "You know what? Let me text my mom. I'll see if she responds." She responded a few hours ago. I said, I texted her and I said, "Did you see Millie calling Trump a fascist?" And she said, "That means Millie is a fascist." Based.
Oi! Galing!
Because he's a hardcore Trumper.
He's the former president, and it is actually breaking up our family.
My father-in-law lives just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and he was badly damaged by Hurricane Helene. And he has refused all FEMA help because he's a hardcore Trumper. And he literally believes that if he accepts anything from FEMA, they're going to take his house. I don't understand how so many people are under the spell of this freaking con man. I don't understand it.
Well, it's absolutely heartbreaking about your father-in-law. I'm so sorry to hear it. You know,
And it's hard to even imagine it. I mean, he lost almost everything, and he's refusing all help from the federal government and complaining to us that he doesn't have food, that he doesn't have the stuff he needs, and yet he won't accept the help.
I kind of wonder, I mean, like, conservative people have always kind of been, like, anti-medicine, kind of. But it makes me wonder now, so, like, I told that story to my dad, right? So I was like, "Dad, so how's your A1C or whatever?" Because he was, like, pre-diabetic, I think, a few years ago. And he's like, I think he said it was at, like, around, like, I think 11 and 13. And I'm like, "That's pretty high, Dad. You gonna hop on that insulin?" And he's like, "No, because once you start taking insulin, you're gonna be hooked on it for life." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you know that, like, your high blood sugar is just literally killing your body." I was like, "Ow." I'm like, "Okay, well, like, do you ever feel like tinglings in your fingers or your toes, or like is your eyesight going or whatever?" And he's like, "No, I don't really feel anything. No, nothing like that." I'm like, "Oh, not at all?" He's like, "Well, no, I haven't felt like it." I think he said he hasn't felt his toes or his feet for like several months or something. And I'm like, "Okay, you're just gonna get all your shit amputated? Okay, whatever. Like, if you want to die as a footless, handless, eyeless guy rolling around the hospital, okay, whatever. I don't know, man."
What the hell are we supposed to do? We're not in a position to be able to fly across the country and help him. There's people begging us to get him to accept help, and he won't do it. Wow. And I guarantee you, I'm not the only one. I guarantee you, I'm not the only one.
That's brutal, man.
You know, I don't know. Does he have access to any electronics where you could send him some information debunking this?
We've done all of that. We sent him all the things. We sent him all the stuff from the fact checkers. He doesn't believe it. He thinks he just believes Trump. Literally, Dan. It's a cult. He's a cult member. I'm sorry to say it. He's a cult member. And he's a father-in-law, and it sucks.
Oh, that's probably his wife. Yeah, I guess. What is this poll is so incredibly fucking dreary.
Whirly twirly.
was a great tweet. Sorry, but that wasn't. Where's the? I tweeted the 3 links.
Fuck you, bitch. Think you can kill me? I am immortal.
The omni-liberal Christ family.
Oh shit.
More. Did you cover that new Zoomer debate routine yet? I'll probably watch it tomorrow. Not too edgy. I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry. God, I hate that fucking crazy person. Sorry. What were we at?
Again?
I could have just, I literally had somebody fucking CBS News poll finds Trump's big lead grows as GOP voters dismiss indictments. This is updated or posted August 20th, 2023, probably. The latest Trump indictment, which concerns you more? The indictment is politically motivated, 77%. 8% believe that Trump tried to overturn the election, 50% believe it. Feels that what they tell you is true. Top answers among voters. 71% trust Trump, 63% trust friends and family. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't like losing. I could do this.
Link? I don't know what the original YouGov thing is, but.
One more. Come on. I can do this.
Create 4 groups of 4. Coo. App. Rap. Swallow. Honk. Bear. Gobble. Scarf. Stand. Sam. Stole. Take. Hoot. And shawl.
I didn't
A
get
scarf,
shit.
a wrap, a shawl, and a thing that you wrap around something. Oh no. Fuck.
Too high. I didn't know it was too high.
Around like a wrap, a scarf that goes around something. Yeah. No.
I know what that is.
Genius mode. Genius mode. Noises animals make. Bird. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Oh, like noises. Yeah. God, I'm a genius. God, I'm so smart. Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's go. What do we got? What do we got? A stand. Like a music stand. No. Wrap. That's a wrap. Wrap. Stand. Scarf. That's a take. Take. We got it. We got it. Application. Duplication. There. Oh. Swallow your food. Scarf down your food. Take your food. No. Swallow your medication. You scarf down his food. Take your medication. Or motor your food. You ate it so fast, like a motor mouth. To scan your food? No. Oh shit. Fuck. App. Apply. Gooply. Sampling. Apple. Sample. Google.
Right.
Fuck. Oh, food. A wrap. You can get a wrap. Oh my god. There's no. Okay, let's. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay. That's a hot take. Or a hot goo. Or hot motor. Wait, could that be it? Hot goo. Is that it? A hot take. A hot wrap? And a hot motor. Not even. Okay, just kidding. I knew that. I knew that was never gonna be okay. Motor. Do we have motor now? Air now? Goo now? No. Do we do this now? Shawl, scarf, and it's like a one is gonna be like something. Oh no, I'm not gonna guess it. A goo or swallow or bear?
I can't, it's just too hard.
It's gonna be some like bullshit name. God damn it. Okay, shawl, scarf, wrap, and that's it. Okay.
Look at all the lonely people. Do, 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 do. Look at all the
Motorbike.
Motorola.
Oh my god, I just noticed it. I'm so stupid. Fuck me. Google, Apple, Google, Apple.
Sample.
Wait, no? No. No, wait, I'm getting baited. Sample? PL. No, wait. Google sample. Stop. No. Oh my god, I'm done. I can't. Okay, good luck.
you.
Bear witness, stand as a witness, stole, take. You can take the stand, you can take the. Nah, fuck it, fuck me. Fuck me and fuck this. Fuck me and fuck this. God damn it. I don't know, what are we at? Drape accessories. A stole? I don't know what the fuck a stole is, seriously? No way. And then tolerate is to bear something, to stand it, I can't stand it. Swallow your pride, I guess. Take it, you take it, okay. And then start cell phone makers. Oh, Motorola. Oh, it's Apple, Google, Samsung, Motorola. Jesus. Does Motorola even make phones anymore? Jared Laser, challenge you to debate. What, right now? I'm only doing spontaneous debates for the next month. If you're trying to schedule some shit this month, we can go next month. I don't know who's Jared Lazar. Who the fuck is that? Where is he? Oh, that's Summit 1G. Good one. Oh my god. We get a file type is working around cd/desktop. You want a easier version of website? It's working now. For some reason, the guy's download is slow. It's like, it seems like it's capped out a bit, so I don't know why, but it's working. I got DaVinci and everything working, so now I can create like proxy files and shit, which are super small, but they take me like 5 hours to make. I don't know if we should get like a stronger GPU. Are the encoding lanes on graphics cards, when you talk about like your encoders, is it the same shit no matter the card? Like I think I saw that like if you have like a 4090 versus like a 4060, the encoding lanes are the exact same. I thought I read that, I'm not sure though. I don't know if it's worth looking into one. Thanks, my face. I love you, buddy.
It's so hard, you know, but I still play because I'm a good gamer. Bye guys.